Running.
Notice to the public, if you wish to address the council, please complete the public wishing to address the council form located on either end of the counter and give it to either the chairman or the council clerk prior to the beginning of the meeting. All comments must be addressed to the council as a whole. Addressing individual council members or staff is not allowed. Speakers should be courteous in their choice of words and action, and comments should be limited to the issues and cannot involve individuals or staff-related matters. We will actually be starting in about 4 minutes.
I didn't even know I was doing a
Okay.
It's okay. I didn't. We got some nursing students in the audience.
Nursing students? Okay.
I'm gonna take a look at it. Okay.
Nobody seems to be interested tonight. Nobody seems to be interested tonight. Yeah. Let's see. Good evening. Welcome to Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government's council meeting today, Wednesday, October 29th, 2025. Time is 6 p.m. We would like to have all cell phones and electronic devices used for communication, and they should be silenced for the duration of the meeting. I will now call the meeting to order with an invocation by Ms. Kim Chauvin and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we come today ready to conduct business for Terrebonne Parish. We ask for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Please grant us your wisdom so we can make the best decisions for our community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Charlie, could you give us a roll call, please?
Ms. Chauvin, Mr. Trustclair, Mr. Pledger, Mr. Harding, Mr. Voisin, Mr. Amity, Mr. Champagne, Mr. Hamner, Mr. Babin. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum present.
Thank you, ma'am. Although Ms. Jessica Domain, representative of District 53, House of Representatives, even though she's on the agenda, we want to recognize her, along with the students from Nicholls State University, nursing students. General business, and I actually had that. I asked the lady how to pronounce her name. First thing we have, okay then, yeah, that's right.
You might want to introduce Cousin
Who's that?
what's it called? Yes.
Okay.
Jean-Paul Cousin.
Yeah. And Mr. Cousin. John Paul. No, not right now. Yeah, we're just recognizing you. Okay, we have to approve these things right here. Approve the minutes of the regular council session held on September 24th, 2025. Moved by Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Amity. Any discussion, members, vote your machine. 9-0. We have distributed minutes for the special session accommodation hearing held on October 14, 2025. We also distributed minutes for the regular session held on October 15, 2025. Next, we have to approve the accounts payable bill list for 10/20/25 and 10/27/25. Moved by Ms. Chauvin, second by Mr. Pleasure. In the discussions, members, vote your machine. Motion passed 9-0. Approve the manual checklist for September 2025. Moved by Ms. Chauvin, second by Mr. Pleasure. In the discussion, members, vote your machine. Motion passed 8-0. General business. Miss Mary Elizabeth Bouye, and Mr. Garrison Welsh, technical assistants to Public Service Commission John Paul Carson, Cousin, District 2, would like to provide a brief overview of the Commissioner's Cousin priorities and how the office can assist Terrebonne Parish and also share information about their energy efficient grant program. State your name and address.
Thank you, council members. My name is Grayson Walsh, and this is my colleague, Mary Elizabeth Bouye. We're with Commissioner Jean-Paul Cousson's office, who serves as the District 2 Commissioner at the Louisiana Public Service Commission. The PSC's responsibility is for regulating the state utilities, which include natural gas, electricity, and water and wastewater. The Commission's main job is to ensure that these services are safe, reliable, and provided at a fair and reasonable cost for the ratepayers. Our office is y'all's direct contact and advocate for these issues. So whether any constituents are having issues with their bills, reading them, we know they can be pretty difficult. If y'all are having frequent outages in neighborhoods, whatever it may be, our office is there to help. We have 3 women at our office who are amazing. 2 of them have been there just about longer than I've been alive, so they can help you out with anything and know it better than anybody. So if you have any questions or anything that comes up in the future, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to help.
So he handles all of that type of stuff. And I handle our energy efficiency grant program that is funded through ratepayer dollars allocated by the commission to be able to come to public entities and do different types of projects to upgrade your infrastructure and save you money on your electricity bills. So the program helps local governments, schools, and any other public facilities. And so the way that this works is you guys would submit applications to us, and we have a grading scoring process that all the applications will go through. And then we will be able to pick buildings in your parish to 100% free of cost upgrade your lights. And so I have a paper in front of you guys that runs through most of the details of it and how the application process works and things like that. The only thing I did not add on there is for the 2026 calendar year, the application due date is going to be January 31st. But this is something that I can work with you guys on. I have some top contractors that I can send your way that can give you testimony on how much money these projects have saved people. We actually spent half the day today in Lafourche Parish doing some completion walks at their airport, the port, and a few schools. And the guy that was doing the walks with us was talking about some projects that we had completed in Lafourche 2 years ago and how almost immediately they were saving $800 a month on a bill in one of the locations that we were able to cover. So if this is something you guys are interested in, I would love to sit down with some of the members. I've spoke to Mr. Bajeron about it in the past, and go through the nitty gritty details of it. But we just wanted to come here tonight, introduce it to you, and let you know that this is something that we encourage you guys to take full advantage of. It's a pot of money that we have, and we are trying to spread the wealth throughout District 2. But does anybody have any questions on it?
Mr. Amadine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Actually, I'm familiar with the program, but I did have 2 questions. One, are you related to the state rep?
I am.
Okay.
I'm his oldest.
Well, congratulations on having a dad in politics. You know, my kids avoid me.
I was in it before him.
Well, good. Miss Peggy used to come down, I believe it was once a month to South Central Planning. Is she still doing that?
So we had lost a member of our team this past year, and we hadn't filled the spot yet. We recently filled the spot. So I think if she's not starting them up within the next month, she will start again in 26.
Okay, thank you.
Danny, you took your light out? Yeah, I did. Okay. Mr. Bajeron.
Yeah, I want to thank them for coming down. Like I said, we've been talking about this amongst other things, and I just really want to commend Jean Paul on the work that we've been able to do together. Whenever you see like things hanging from like AT&T or cable providers and everything, those things hanging at a low level with wires and anything else that could have been related to or not related to the storms, they've been really helping us work through that and work with the communications providers to get that stuff cleaned up. And so just doing great work across the board, and we just want to thank them.
Mr. Babin.
Yeah, and this may be the wrong forum to ask this particular question, but the majority of the district that I represent is handled by SLECA. And SLECA's in the process right now. I think it's in, I'll call it the court system because of the properties across Lake the Cad and other areas. Is there any update on that?
So they just had their hearing on Monday,
Okay.
and we will have the written testimony will come out next week, and then we'll be waiting for the administrative law judge's recommendation, hopefully about the 3-month mark. So that's when she comes out with her recommendation, and then we'll probably vote on it maybe a month or so after that.
Yeah, because it would be a costly project for Sleeka, and its members over the next 25 to 50 years. So
Yes, sir.
in any event, all right, thank you very much for your input.
Yes, sir. Thank you all.
Mr. Champagne.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Grayson, I want to thank you because I actually contacted you about some utility poles that were leaning that we couldn't get energy to move, and it finally happened after about a year of pushing them. So I appreciate you helping us with that situation in my district.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Everyone, I had a question. Okay, Mr. Wazan. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I heard you say wastewater. Could you elaborate?
So any utilities that do sewage, that's not a municipality, the PSC will regulate them.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I had a question. I think I had read something. I spoke with Mr. Leary at one time in reference to solar panels. Do you actually associate yourself with solar panels?
We do not. That would be either through utility or through some third party, but we don't directly regulate residential solar panels.
Well, the question came to me in reference to perhaps the solar panels, because in this area we have a lot of power outage, and then we have hurricanes, and with those hurricanes, we don't have any electricity. So even that with the solar panels, they save money. I'm assuming, because I don't know have the sufficient data, but when we go out of power, these things can actually kick in. Let's say, for instance, like government tower, we can actually have electricity here, and we can actually operate here, even though we have generators in other buildings that we actually have.
So directly in our office, we don't run into too many solar panel questions, but if you shoot us an email, we can definitely gather some more information on it and help lead you in the right direction to find out whether or not it could. I'm sure it can be done, but whether or not it would be worth it for you guys or not. But we can definitely look into that for you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Chauvin?
I think my question would have more to do with, or more of a statement that the commissioner, when adding all these extra charges on our energy bills for hurricanes and stuff, we have a lot of elderly people, a lot of single parent families that are affected by that, and I would hope that they would keep that to a minimum, because every month when people look at their bills, like it's too much. It's entirely too much what the last commissioner let be done. Thank you.
And I know at the hearing, people had brought that up, and Sleeka said they'll work with RAPE if they are Sleeka members. They're not okay. Well, Entergy, they're a little bit harder to deal with since they're not a co-op, and they don't feel the same about their members, but they might be able to get on payment plans. But that is something you could send through us, and we'll get on Entergy about it.
We'll definitely note it for the commissioner, though.
Mr. Hamner?
Thank you. It's Mary, right?
Yes.
Do you go by Mary or Mary Elizabeth?
I go by Mary Elizabeth.
I love the name. When you were talking about the lighting grant, how difficult are they to get? On a scale of 1 to 10, or a 5, 6?
So I'll explain to you how our selection process goes.
Okay.
So there are applications coming in from every parish in our district. And so what we typically do is we will have all the applications go through our engineer. He'll do the scoring process. And when we receive them, instead of comparing, let's say, Lafourche applications to Terrebonne applications, we compare them against themselves so that we can go into each parish and be able to pick a couple each time. Like I said, I use the term sharing the wealth. We want to make sure that every parish gets a little bit of that pot. So I can, depending on how expensive the applications are and things like that, I can typically guarantee at least one project a parish. And that just depends on how much our budget fluctuates this year. We are gonna have a change and the new numbers will come in on November 1st. But since we haven't done much work in Terrebonne yet, it is one of my larger priorities to attack. Like for example, Lafouche, we did some 2 years ago, then we did some this past year. And so if the pot only allowed for one out of the two parishes, my goal would be to be able to give you guys something. At the end of the day, it does depend on the commissioner's final say, but I will usually give him the recommendations and I try to do it off of who is in need most and who hasn't gotten any of it yet. And I believe we've only done one project over here and it was, I can't remember the school name, but we did one school out here.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in, I come from the school system and I'm a big believer in good lighting for, because you can walk in a building that has poor lighting and you can feel the atmosphere in it as opposed to a building with good lighting. I noticed when you were talking earlier the first time around that you kept looking up at these lights. And so obviously this room would qualify.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, okay.
You can tell by the line, the
grids.
tin on the outside of the lights. So one of the contractors would probably come in and they would take these out and they would end up being flat lay 2x4 panels in here. Just as an idea, and your back can lights would be completely replaced and you'd have LEDs and it would be a lot more lively.
So do you want these applications to come from us as a council or from administration or a cooperative?
It is whatever you guys prefer. So typically the contractors in partnership with you guys will submit them to me because they know the application backwards and forwards and they will not make any moves or do anything without somebody from the council or administration's approval. And I'd be happy to put you in contact with some of them. They actually know the application process a little bit better than I do because they fill out so many of them. But I can also send you guys some sample applications that have been done in the past as well. That way, if for some reason you'd like to go find your own contractor to do it, you could at least have an example. The main thing, if you do decide to find an outside, like a contractor who may not have been with the program in the past, is just making sure that they can show you the cost savings and the kilowatt savings of whatever building that you guys do. But that's something that I can walk you through in a one-on-one meeting, so that way you can kind of understand the scoring process and what we look for.
I definitely want to get some information on it. I'm gonna pass you this card
Okay.
before you leave.
And you guys have my cell phone number on my card. Feel free to text me, call me, email me. I actually answer my cell phone more than my office line. So I wanted to make sure you guys had that as well.
You okay, Mr. Hammond?
Are you
Yeah.
good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Mr. Trustclair?
They pick at me because I talk too much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One quick question. How many parishes does District 2 encompass?
13, I think.
13. Okay, so we competing against 12 other parishes.
But they don't, not every parish submits applications every time.
Kind of like Terrebonne.
So like for the last few years, we've had at least 4. We've had Lafayette, St. Martin, Livingston, and Lafouche usually are the consistent ones. And in some of them, we're actually done with, we don't have any more buildings in their parishes to do. So at some point, we're gonna run out of public entities to continue doing, but we can also, aside from lighting as well, if y'all have some buildings that already upgrade on lighting, we can do HVAC. We have some gas dollars too, that in the schools and stuff like that, they can replace water heaters and boilers. It's really whatever y'all are in need of at this time.
Okay. And by coming here tonight, I think you just opened up Pandora's box in Terrebonne Parish.
That's what I was hoping to do.
So thanks.
Y'all have been one of our more active parish councils, so I appreciate all the questions.
You good, Steve? Mr. Platt?
Thank you. I just would like to know, with all the questions that have been asked so far, sounds like that you guys have completed some projects in Lafouche Parish, been in contact or in talks with our parish president. I'd like to know what's best time to call you tomorrow, so so we can kind of get some things rolling?
I have a call at 9 tomorrow.
Hate to put you on the spot, but I'm
And
calling.
I have a call at 9 and a meeting at 11:30. So any time between or before those times.
I'll email and text and we'll figure it out.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Mr. Amity.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Mayor Elizabeth, let me help you out a little bit. Oaklawn Junior High School and I believe now Evergreen Junior High School.
Yes,
Yes.
I have their applications.
Well, we've actually done Oaklawn Junior High School and we're currently fixing to start.
Okay, yes, that's what
Evergreen.
I couldn't remember the school that we had already completed, and it was the Oak Lawn School.
Yeah.
And then Oak Lawn was awarded last year, and then Evergreen was awarded this year. And I think the school board might have a few more coming through. They haven't sent me anything yet, but we haven't done any government buildings yet in the parish.
Yeah, the company I work for won the bid on those, worked with the local engineering company and got those done. And I was pretty sure it was the same program.
Who are you with, if you don't mind me asking?
Flute Incorporated,
Yes, so they were the contractors on Oak Lawn.
and we're also the contractors on Evergreen,
Okay,
because we're fixing to get started on that. I think
Okay.
they're in the preliminary stages. It's not something in my department, but I hear the talk in the office about it. So it's a great program, and I was glad to see about the HVAC too. I wasn't aware that was part of it. So-
And just for some ideas too, we don't just do like office buildings like this. I've done jails before. I've done public works buildings, fire departments, 911 centers. All of those things fall under the category of a public entity within the parish. So you could even go into your smaller towns around here and they might have small little buildings and that is all would be, as long as it is under Entergy over here, it'll be good to go. I think Sleeka, I don't know if Sleeka filed to become part of the program this year, but I can check on that. If they did, then they will fall into it, but I don't think they haven't yet. Okay. So if they didn't, they won't be a part of it for the next 4 years because that's the wait time. But any building on Entergy is good to go.
I have no more lights up here, and thank you for coming. And
All righty. Thank y'all so much for
sound
having
like you can have
us.
some phone calls coming to you and emails.
Oh, no, I'll be calling. He can email.
We can do lunch. Breakfast.
Next, we have Ms. Laura Tuggle with the Southeast Louisiana Legal Service, and they would like to give an update, the update status on the service that their organization provide to the citizens of Terrebonne Parish. State your name and address, please.
Laura Tuggle. I live in New Orleans, 2011 Pine Street, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70118. Our HOMA office is at 1340 West Tunnel Boulevard, Suite 100, in Houma, Louisiana. And I just want to thank you all for all of your support over the years. And I wanted to make sure that we came back as we promised to do last year and make sure that we're providing at least an annual update to the council about the work that we're doing in Terrebonne Parish, and also talk to you a little bit about how the funds that you help support our operations with really helps give back to the parish. With me tonight, Celeria Gums. She's our managing attorney here in our own HOMA office. She's been with us, can I say? More than 30 years, but I think it's about 40 almost, right? Like, we have to give her a big party. We will not use your money to do the party. And I also have our newest board member, Becca Dardar-Caro. She was recently appointed as one of our client community members from this region. She's appointed by the United Homa Nation. So we have a mix of attorneys and non-attorneys that are on our board. We are a nonprofit organization. And we provide free legal services to low-income people, including in Terrebonne Parish, in a wide variety of civil legal matters. We do everything from a lot of work in growing on wills and successions, which is we really see as a huge part of our disaster response and disaster resilience preparation work. We have a lot of our work is in domestic violence and family law cases. Sadly, we have a high percentage of our work. Last year, almost 40% was child in need of care cases where we're actually appointed to represent the children who are taken into custody due to abuse or neglect. We also do a range of other things, everything from expungements to employment law, consumer disputes, landlord tenant, and foreclosure prevention, and a little bit of benefits work. So a lot of challenges that folks face in their everyday lives. That's what we focus on. We don't do any criminal work. Last year in Terrebonne Parish, we closed just under 400 cases. There's usually about 2.1 people per household, so that probably, I'd have to do some math, but probably about 750 or so. And we also track in our cases, to the best of our ability, what is the economic impact of our work. You know, it's really hard to measure how it really impacts somebody who you get a protective order in a domestic violent case, or you are able to resolve a long-standing custody issue. Those are really hard to measure. But for things that we can measure, like helping somebody secure veterans benefits that maybe has been wrongfully denied benefits, or helping someone preserve the equity in their home, or obtain a Restore Louisiana grant so that they can rebuild their house. Those kind of things we do track. And last year, just for our work in Terrebonne Parish, the economic impact was $977,339.94. And you all last year were very generous and provided us with $40,000 to help support our operations. In prior years, that had been $30,000. And so we believe we're really helping make an impact and are a wise investment. I also wanted to share that the Louisiana Bar Foundation, they help fund a lot of nonprofit legal organizations like us as well. And they did an economic impact study that they released earlier this year. And they found that for every dollar invested in civil legal aid programs like ours, there's $13.28 of social return on investment. I don't know how they come up with that. They ask us for our data, we provide our data, and they hire some statistician who looks at everything. And that social return on investment is everything from potential government savings, healthcare savings, those kinds of things. And I'd be glad to get you that data if you were interested, but we don't do that study ourselves. We just provide the data and somebody else analyzes it. We also still have open, as of today, well, as of yesterday when I ran the numbers, 308 cases are still open and that were opened in the past year. And there's about 100 or so that we're still carrying over from the prior years. So we're really making an impact in the community, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about some of the things we're working on now and for 2026. So we unfortunately didn't have enough resources to purchase our own what we call a justice bus. One of our colleagues at Acadiana Legal Services, they have two, a big one and a little one. And so we signed a shared usage agreement with them earlier this year, where we're able to borrow a justice bus 2 times a year for a month at a time. And so when we first got the justice bus, actually we signed it late last fall because we ended up changing where we were bringing the bus, and we brought it mostly down to Terrebonne and Lafourche because Francine had recently hit. And so we did a lot of community outreach at libraries and senior centers and other kind of community centers to try to bring services into the community. We will be getting that bus again a couple more times this year. We also were notified about 2 weeks or so before October 1st. We had applied for a legal services for veterans grant, which is a new funding stream That's through the Veterans Affairs Administration. We had previously had a grant. We were lucky enough to get renewed. We were very excited about that, and we got the word a little bit before the government shutdown. And originally, we did not include Terrebonne, Lafourche, and Assumption in that grant because one of our colleagues had that grant. But when we learned they did not receive the grant, we asked the VA, hey, can we expand our grant to these other 3 parishes? We didn't want to duplicate services, and they said yes. So we will be doing more outreach for veterans. It is targeted to veterans who are at risk of homelessness or who may have some other kind of issue going on where their housing and financial stability could be at risk. So it doesn't have income guidelines. You have to be a qualifying veteran, which is a big ordeal to go through the VA to, well, not really an ordeal, but we have to do some digging to make sure you meet their criteria. And then you just have to meet that in need. So we're really looking forward to expanding that work. We're also, I think we've had about 6 meetings, a lot of meetings, over the past couple of weeks, where what we unfortunately don't have in our Bayou region, like we do in some other parts of our service area, we don't have an organized pro bono program where we can work with volunteer attorneys to help us expand what we can do. In our office, we only have 3 attorneys that are able to do kind of general civil legal services. We have 2 that do child in need of care work, but they're not able to take other kinds of cases. And we used to just have 2 attorneys, but thank you very much for your help. We now have 3. That we're really trying to expand our work, and one of them almost exclusively does domestic violence and family law cases, and we work very closely with the Haven in getting referrals for those kind of matters. So we only have 3 attorneys in the office. We don't have any law schools in this part of the state. We don't have an organized separate pro bono program. So we have decided that we're going to try to start one. So we've been meeting with local judges. We've been meeting with bar associations. We're meeting with Terrebonne Parish Bar tomorrow. We met with Lafourche last week. We want to do some additional meetings with some of our elected representatives and some other community organizations that we've been meeting with to talk about need and what else we could do. So we are really optimistic that we'll be able to start that early next year and try to help us fill some of the gaps that we're just not able to do as much because we only have 3 attorneys and the need is really enormous. One of the things that some of the organizations that we've been talking with, we've been exploring some of the ideas that we have, and there has been really a strong interest in what we call our Mission for Mark. Our Mission for Mark is named after our former executive director, my personal hero, who was the director for many, many years when I was there. I've been there like 31 years now, so a long time. Not as long as Celeria, but I'm coming right behind her. And Mark unfortunately passed away as a result of kidney cancer. And one of the things that he shared with us shortly before he passed was that he would be getting his cancer treatments and talking to other patients and realize how many different kind of legal issues people were having as a result of this health diagnosis, whether they were getting bills they couldn't pay, whether they were having issues in the workplace, whether they wanted to do a will or a living will. Maybe they wanted to talk to somebody about what was going to happen to their kids in case the worst thing happened. Just a whole variety of different things that folks were talking about. And so we tried to start a cancer legal advocacy project shortly after Mark passed, and were unsuccessful in getting resources for it. And then a couple of years ago, we had a staff member that came to me who's a fourth stage cancer survivor who said, you know, Laura, we really need to we really need to start a project for cancer patients and their family members. When I'm getting my chemo, I hear all these things. I tell them where I work. They say how much they need our help, and I was like, "This is exactly what I heard." We're going to go back and try to do this again. So I'm happy to report we were able to start a project. We renamed it instead of Cancer Legal Advocacy, which sounds like we're advocating for cancer, and we are not. So we renamed it Mission for Mark in honor of our former executive director. And Mary Bird Perkins came on board with us, the Cancer Association of Louisiana. And we had really started out in Baton Rouge. We now have Mary Bird Perkins that down in Terrebonne Parish that can join us. And we're also going to be talking with the new Cancer Treatment Center in Lafourche. So that is one of the things that we really want to bring to the community is, we may do wills clinics, we may do other kinds of events where we're trying to meet the legal needs of cancer patients. And then the last thing I'll mention that we're really looking forward to hopefully doing more of in the coming year, coming out of these meetings that we've been having about trying to start pro bono to leverage more resources, we also met with the Bayou Foundation, who has a Hurricane Ida rebuilding program, and we are also meeting with Rebuilding Together Bayou region. And one of the strong needs that's coming out before they can really work with folks to repair their homes or maybe rebuild a home is that succession issue. So we're really wanting to support that. It's just more information about what the needs are. So we really have a lot on our plates, but we like to have full plates. I like to eat a lot. I like my people to help me eat a lot. So we are just grateful for all the ways that you have supported us. And we just want you to know that we're trying to do even more with whatever resources might be available. So I'm going to be quiet now because that was a lot. Do you have any questions, anyone? Comment?
Mr.
Yeah.
Babin?
We have a condemnation process here in the parish to condemn homes that need to be condemned. Like last night, we had 44 on the agenda.
Wow.
And I'm sure that legitimately there were probably 2 or 3 on there that, and I don't mean to help them tear the home down, but there were probably 2 or 3 or maybe more in there that were having problems with successions,
Right.
with contacting other family members or some type of legal issue. That would fall under this purview as well?
They could certainly contact us. We do have the income guidelines for most of our resources, but we would certainly take a look at it and see if we might be able to help them. I brought a few brochures. I'll leave some here.
Good, but when you have 44, everybody has a story to tell.
Yes.
But you've been doing this for a while. You can pick out the ones that are truly legitimate, that really need the help, and they can't afford to hire an attorney to do
Right.
it. So, good, if you leave the brochures, I think that'll help us out.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Anyone else?
That's it? Well, thank you. Oh, no.
I wrote down, Mr. Babin actually kind of stole my thought a little bit. That we went through those condemnation hearings last night, and there were some people that actually need all type of assistance, whether it's the wills, getting the deeds and stuff like that. I appreciate Mr. Armady last year actually pushing for it because I had a concern several years ago that we'll be providing services for a lot of people that I was running into that could not afford an attorney.
Right.
And what you're saying, I found out also that you tied into a lot of other agencies that we actually supplement. And I would like for you to give the telephone number to your office if possible, or
I will, 985-851-5687.
okay. And for the other people that are listening, she made mention of a justice bus. So that's, I don't know what happens with our surplus property and things like that. I know we have a lot of vehicles. I don't know how far you have to travel or anything like that. So that could be some consideration that we may
Well, that-
be able to look at down the line.
We call that justice bus when we borrow it Justine. We really like that Justice bus.
So, and lastly, there's a lot of people that we subsidize, but I appreciate you coming and letting us know what you're doing and letting everyone else know what you do. Oftentimes we send money out from the parish and we don't see the people, so I appreciate you for coming here.
I'll keep coming as long as you let me come.
Ms. Chauvin,
Thank you all.
excuse me.
Hold on. My suggestion would be, I'm just kind of wondering, instead of like here, because Camilla and Miss Dion talked to a lot of those in nuisance abatement. And I'm thinking like your business card would probably be best left with them so that they can just move, just have, or just help them along the way, that way you can kind of vet through the process, because you definitely have a protocol and process in place for those that are needing that type of help. And I'm just wondering if that can be done, where you could get your business card to nuisance abatement and let them roll
Definitely.
with that. Okay.
And I apologize. I think I did this last year too, tried to sit down too early. So
No, that's fine.
I would say that we haven't done this yet in Terrebonne Parish, but something that we've been doing with some of our other parishes. It's always tricky for us to figure out, like, we can do all this outreach and go all over the place and do events and staff resource fairs, but you never know if you're exactly hitting the people that need the service. And one of the things we found, especially with folks that may need successions, we have this new strategy. We actually got called a couple of years ago by the Ascension Parish Assessor's Office. And there was a law that was passed over 5 years ago where when someone passes away, the Bureau of Vital Records sends the death notification to the local parish assessor. And that parish assessor then goes through their tax roll records and they see, is there anybody else on our records who shows up as an owner, a co-owner, like is there a surviving spouse or whoever? And if they don't find that there is, they'll remove the homestead exemption. And then sometimes you can end up potentially having somebody who's lived in the family home for sometimes generations, possibly, and maybe the only one taking care of it or trying to, possibly losing a home for $1,500 or something like that. So we actually were contacted by Ascension Parish Assessor, and they were going through this process, and they identified almost 600 properties, mostly in lower income communities. And they said, we think this is all air property. Can you help us? And they did a lot of different things. They put stuff on their website. They helped screen clients for us. They offered their office because we don't have a physical office there. They sent out cards, which was fantastic because we do not solicit and we don't do an advertising budget really. And we cannot solicit. And they knew exactly who needed the service and they knew exactly when they needed the service because they're getting that notification within 30 days of someone passing away. We run into these issues usually where, after a hurricane or whatever, somebody may have generations and all these missing heirs. And what might have been simple if we had known about it near the time someone passed away becomes really complex and sometimes unsolvable. So we love those partnerships. We're expanding them. We're St. John heard about it, and we're doing a thing with them, and we just signed not an agreement, but we just got a letter of support from Orleans Parish, and we would love to have a conversation with the Terrebonne Parish Assessor because they are getting that information. And, we might get a little overwhelmed, but if you could help us do that conversation, that would be fantastic.
Mr. Brown, pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for all that you guys do and all that. I know recently I requested some information on you guys, and it's just ironic you guys are here. So with that being said, I'll offer up my contact info. If you can reach out to me, I'd like to get some, and our clerk, she'll have it on the corner right here for you,
got it.
card. It'll have all of my contact info, so I'll have some questions when it comes to like your statistical data and
Sure.
your region and that type of thing. So things that I don't want to waste time here tonight, but we can talk a little bit more in depth at a later date.
Fantastic.
All right, thank you.
Well, we are very honored and blessed to do this work. I mean, I love it all the time, except for those moments where I don't. I think we all feel that way sometimes. But I just feel lucky to do it. I feel lucky to be doing it with the great team that we have and all of our support. So thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Now I'm dismissed. Okay.
Don't forget the cards. One C, Miss Jessica Doman, District 53 State Representative. She's going to provide an update on state and local matters that involve Terrebonne Parish. State your name and address, please, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was expecting you to go to a 6:30 public hearing. Representative Jessica Domang, 700 Central Avenue. I am District 53 representative. I represent about 6 council districts, so everything pretty much south of the intercoastal, downtown, and a little tiny bit of Lisa Park. So, Mr. Chairman, if I can I bring you guys, I've got some handouts for the council to kind of go over. If I could just bring them and pass them out to you guys?
Sure.
All right. And if you'll bear with me, I'm just going to get my notes together here, Mr. Chairman. And if you'll allow me, Chairman Harding, I have actually 3 separate topics that I'd like to go over. So if it's okay with the chair, I'd like to go over the first one, maybe take questions, go over the next one, take questions, go over the third, and then take questions, if you'd be okay with that,
Fine.
sir. All right, perfect. All right, so as you guys may or may not know, we just finished yet another special session today. So we got back about 3 hours ago, and the special session was related to just election dates, and it was election dates for our spring primary election. As you may or may not know, we redrew some constitutional maps in 2024 that the Supreme Court deemed were unconstitutional. So the Supreme Court heard this hearing about 2 weeks ago, and they are awaiting a verdict and a ruling on what they want to do with the maps. We don't know what that's going to be, and we've heard we could be told a ruling in January. We were told we could hear a ruling as far as May. And because we have this closed primary for our congressional elections coming up in the spring, the legislature thought that it would be best that we push back the dates about 30 days. And so that's essentially what the special session was for. We were just pushing back dates. So your primary election for the spring is going to be moved from April 18th, 2026 to May 16th, 2026. The general, including all municipal elections, will be moved from May 20th, 2026 to June 27th, 2026. This will be a closed primary. So as of right now, you're going to have a Republican primary for that Senate seat. It's Clay Higgins' seat. And so, I'm sorry, not Clay Higgins. It's
My brain just went out. Cassidy, right? Thank you, sir. So yeah, you will have that primary for Cassidy's seat, and it will be a primary and a general. So you've got about 5 Republicans running for that seat. You'll have a primary, which will be the May 16th, and you'll have a general, which will be the remaining 2, which will be May 20th, and then in the fall of 2026, you'll have whatever Democratic contender or whatever independent contender, or no party, as well as that Republican. And so essentially, there's going to be 3 elections for that, if that makes sense. And the reason I bring this to you guys to you as well is. A local ordinance will be required if you guys have any propositions or any tax rolls that need to come in. And I'm not sure. I've heard you guys might have one tax renewal that may be in the spring. And so when you do put that up, you also are going to have to do an ordinance for the parish saying that election date will be moved as well. I did talk to the clerk's office already. I talked to Ms. Rhonda at the registrar's office. They're well aware, and they're going to get with you guys as far as the language and what they need. As soon as the governor signs that bill, which we're expecting to be pretty soon. So that is essentially the special session and the dates. So if you guys have any questions about that, I'll take those now. No? Okay. All right. So another question that came up was related to SNAP benefits. We all know the government shut down. It's been shut down for quite a while, and we're having some chaos in Washington, D.C., which has led to an announcement that there will be no SNAP benefits coming from Washington starting November 1st. For all of the states. So, of course, the legislature, Governor Jeff Landry, we know that we have to feed people in the state of Louisiana. And so right now, we have 88,000 elderly individuals, 120 disabled individuals, 356,000 households with children that all currently receive SNAP benefits. And that's about $150 million a month. So our plan is for the month of November, LDH, which is the Department of Health and Hospitals, they're going to fund the first $150 million. They've got some money in their budget. They're going to be able to do that. If we go further than November, though, into December, we are going to take it out of our rainy day fund, which is that revenue stabilization fund, which we have some extra money in. And thankfully, this legislature has been very fiscally conservative, and we were able to save some money. So we do have a little bit of money in there to be able to provide that. Of course, the states aren't going to be able to do it forever. So hopefully Washington figures out what they need to do so they can open the government back up. But I have had several phone calls from many of you asking about that. And so I just want you to know and let your residents know that we are going to provide those SNAP benefits to them, and that, we're going to go ahead and kind of help us get through that rough spot. Any questions, concerns about that? No?
No, ma'am.
You guys are so easy. Yes, sir.
I have one, thanks. The data you gave with the numbers of how many, that's in your district, or is that
That's in the states.
in the state? Okay.
Yes,
All right.
yes. That's in the state of Louisiana. So that's all numbers that are coming directly from LDH. And
Okay.
so that's current numbers as far as, yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
No more
Any?
lights. No more lights.
No more lights?
Mhm.
Okay, all right. Thank you. All right, you guys are so easy. All right, so there has been a lot of conversations and a lot of questions, and many of you have called me about the capital outlay process. And so I was kind of reflecting, and since I was coming here today, I thought it would be a good opportunity to provide some education, kind of like capital outlay 101. And I was reflecting on my time here on the council, no one really sat down and explained it to me the way I think that you guys deserve to understand it, because it is very, very complicating, and it's still complicated. So I just kind of want to go through the entire thing with you and go through the bill as far as the 2025 bill, kind of what happened, where we are, and what is what. That way you guys know exactly what, what you're looking at and what we're looking at moving forward. So what I provided you guys all with was the actual HB2 from 2025. So HB2 is the bill, the money bill that all capital outlay for the state of Louisiana, it all goes through HB2. So this essentially is all of Terrebonne Parish. So it includes stuff for from TPCG, from CPRA, the Sheriff's Office, the Levy Board, LumCon, the Port Commission, Fletcher. Essentially anybody who requests capital outlay, it all goes in here. And so it's broken up into Terrebonne. And I'm going to go through it line by line for you guys so that you understand exactly kind of what we're all looking at. So first thing happens as far as the process. So every municipality in the state of Louisiana, every 64 parishes, everyone has to have all their applications in for capital outlay by November 1st, which November 1st is Saturday. So that's why this kind of came up as far as, the timing of it. So all applications for capital outlay have to come in from November 1st, no matter who you are, no matter what municipality. So for Terrebonne Parish specifically, like I said, we're working with the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government. The Sheriff's Office wants to do some projects. CPRA wants to do some projects. Fletcher is going to be doing some projects. LumCon's doing some projects. The Levy District is always doing the projects. The Port Commission is doing projects. And also some of our recreation districts have reached out, and we're going to do some projects with them as well. So that's kind of how the process works. So once we get those requests in, all of your delegations, so all three of your representatives and your two senators, and everyone across the state has to send a letter of support for every single one of those projects. So the parish president requests that he wants money to do road panels, and so that's his request, right? And that's just kind of a generic request. I'm just, but that's the request he sends in. So we all say whether we approve it or we don't approve it. And so that's pretty much the process. Now, there are some senators and reps, not your senators and reps, but there are some senators and reps that say, I don't like this project. I'm not going to send a letter of support. So that is kind of part of the beginning of the process. Now, we did send a letter of support for everything that we received. So I just want to be transparent and clear about that process, is that everybody that got a letter and received a letter went ahead and we sent all those out to you. So the letters get sent, and then at that point, they start working on the bill, because of course we go into the session on May 9th. And so they start working on the bill, and the governor's office, as well as the legislature, the senators, the representatives, everybody comes together and says, all right, what are the parish president comes to us and says, what are the priorities, right? What are the priorities of the parish? What was it that we really want to focus on and really fight for to get in the bill? Because there's 64 parishes. There's lots and lots of projects to get into this bill. And so there's a lot of negotiating. And sometimes there might be a project too that the governor may say, I don't like this project, or I don't see, a reason for this project. And so that might be a reason why it doesn't get in the bill. So there's lots of reasons why it doesn't necessarily get in the bill, but then it gets in the bill. And then after that process is whenever things start kind of getting funded. So I just kind of want to go through the paper that I gave you guys, which is the bill from 2025. Of course, we don't have anything from 2026 because nothing's filed yet. We won't know that till very much later. So if you see on this form, it's got the blue line at the top, and then we've got lots of other lines underneath. And so we start with CPRA, and of course CPRA has lots and lots of money, so they've always got projects in the parish. Administration is actually the governor's office projects. So that you can see is that I-49 corridor. We've been hearing about that for probably 40 years. So the administration would be that project. Public improvements as well is kind of like that, part of that administrative process. You see Louisiana Community and Technical Systems, so that's Fletcher. The Louisiana University's Marine, that's LumCon. And then you have Fletcher as well, you have the Levee District, and you have the Port Commission. And then kind of like at the bottom, you have where the Terrebonne Parish projects are. And so you guys see where it says Terrebonne Parish, and the first one's Company Canal Mitergate? Okay, all right. So I want to kind of stop right there, and I want to explain where things kind of go in the bill. So a project comes in, and let's just look at Company Canal Mitergate. And the request originally was $9 million, okay? So if the project is gonna go in the bill, not necessarily be funded, right? Not necessarily saying we have money for this project, but just to get in the bill, it goes into what's called P5, which is priority 5. And you'll see that all the way on this side, kind of right here. You guys see what I'm talking about? Yeah. So it goes into P5, and that means it's in the bill. Doesn't mean it's automatically funded. It just means it's recognized as something that could possibly be funded, right? It kind of like it's on deck to be funded. And it could be on deck for quite a while, right? Or it could take several years to even get to that level, right? There's some projects that take several years to get in this bill. And it's once again, lots of negotiations from all the parties. So that's kind of the first step. The second step is that P1, okay? That P1 means that there is cash for that project. There's money for that project. And so that's the other, and I don't want to show you all of them because it's very, very confusing, but I just want to show you the ones that are very, very important. So P1 means there's cash. The other one that's really, really important for you guys to know is P5 to P1. That's new money, okay? That's new P1 money that we just got that year, okay? And that means it went from on deck to having money, right? To having actually cash that then the parish can go and do a project. Does that make sense? And you guys stop me if you have any question, because I know it's a lot. And I just want to be as transparent with this process as possible with you guys. And then there's this thing called P2, and I'll get to that whenever it comes to it. So I'm going to go through all the parish projects for you guys, okay? All right, so we'll start with the Company Canal Mitergate. Company Canal Mitergate in Berg, planning and construction. That didn't get into the bill, meaning it didn't get into P5 until 2023. Now, I don't have access to when it was originally applied for because I wasn't in office at that time, and so I don't have that documentation. And meeting with the fiscal office, and I had lots of time this week to meet with the fiscal office, so I met with them a lot. I met with the governor's office a lot, so I could get all this information for you guys. So they provided me with everything that I have right now, but they also don't have the access to say when was it originally. They just told me when it got into the bill, so you guys know how old these projects are, and some of them are pretty old projects. So this Company Canal Mitergate, we have $9 million in P5. Now, in 2024, we had 1.4, I'm sorry, 900,000, no, 9, I'm sorry, 9 million. Okay, so we had an additional 500,000 in 2024 for that project. It's not in there because it was already allocated to the parish. So the parish has already either received that money or it's in the pipe waiting for the parish to take that money, right? So it's no longer in the bill. That's the same as the Bayou Terrebonne Mitergate twin span location planning and construction. So that was also 2023, the $9 million, and there was $500,000 for that project as well. That's already been allocated from because I went to the fiscal office and I said, well, look, we had more money last year. What happened to that money? And they said it was allocated to the parish, meaning that it was given to the parish to start the project. And this administration and Jeff Landry really want us to do projects. They really want us to, we're going to fund the project. We want you to do the project. And it has happened where they've given the parish the money and the parish hasn't spent the money and they've taken it back. So that has happened. So I just want you guys to remember that part too. So as a council, and that's something you can work through, is looking through these projects and saying what's been funded, what hasn't been funded, what's been started, what hasn't been started. That's all something that you guys can do together as a group or working with administration. But I just kind of want you to know where all these dollars are. So those are the first two. The second one, the third one, Bayou La Carpe Watershed Project, Location C, Design and Construction. This was put in the bill in 2014, so about 11 years ago. It has $675 of $75,000 of P1, meaning there's cash ready to do this, okay? And then there's another $9 million in P5. So meaning it's on deck, it's ready to go, right? It's already got the P1. It's waiting for this some sort of action on it. There may have been action on it. Once again, I don't have access to that. But we need to see if we're moving on this project because, of course, that money might go away. And I don't know where it's at. Yes, sir.
You're mentioning, is there any way for us to find out whether Terrebonne Parish itself have to have any type of matching funds to what you're talking about?
So that is something that we can discuss at the end. But yes, that's something that, and also Ms. Candace may have that information as well, or administration may have that information. And some parishes do it differently. I mean, and you guys recall whenever we were on the council previously, we went to bond for a lot of projects so that we had bond money, so that we had the matching money, so that we can kind of do those projects and move those forward. That's how some parishes do it. Of course, I'm not privy to the way you guys operate things, but I just want to give you the information from the state's perspective as far as these monies and these projects and things like that. And there's some that are different and some that are not. So if it's okay with you, Mr. Chairman, okay, all right, perfect. So next all right, so the next one we have is the replacement of the D18 station, Falgout Canal, Ontario, okay? There was $2,125,000 in P5. However, there has been no activity on this project, and I spoke to the fiscal office about 4 times this week. This is being pulled out of the bill. And although the parish may be submitting another letter to have it, it's not being placed back in the bill because there was no activity on it. So this project is gone. You can kind of put an X through it. It's gone. So the next one is the replacement of Brady Road Bridge, planning and construction. So this was, of course, put in 2020. So we've been working on this money for a long time. And during the 2025 legislative session, Parish President Bergeron came to the legislature and said our top priority is Brady Road Bridge. So we all worked really hard. We all worked great together. We had $1.5 million in cash that was put in 2023, and then we were able to get the additional 2.7 in 2025 to get about $3 million. Now that doesn't exactly commute to dollars and cents, but that's kind of what it ended up with as far as cash for that project, that P1. And we all worked so hard to be able to get this money. And that's a testament to the work that we do up there and the collaboration we have with our delegation because, we hustled to be able to get this. And although it's not the $8 million that's needed for the bridge, $3 million in cash is a lot to get the parish started. And remember I said if you don't lose it, use it, you lose it. So I would encourage you guys to see where we are on that project and make sure that you're getting, getting started as far as that. So for me to go back in 2026 and ask for more money, they're going to say, well, we gave you $3 million last year, you didn't use it, or you did use it, or whatever. Why do you need more? So I need to go back to them and say, well, we've already done it in, planning or design or whatever that is, and now we're ready to move to the next phase of this. So that's just information that we need to be able to get you guys more money as far as that one. Do you have a question, Miss Kim? Yes, sir.
Yes. Jessica,
Yes.
okay, on the, on the priority 5, you had 2.7 million. roughly.
Yes.
Okay, and then, you had 3.06 in priority 1.
Yes.
Okay, now what does the priority 5 to priority 1 box with the 2.3 million?
Okay.
Where is that coming from?
Okay. So that was the new money. Okay. So that was the new money. I think it was part of it was the legislature ended up giving $700 million to roads and bridges to be able to enhance some of these roads. Part of it, I think it was the Transportation Trust Fund also gave a little bit. And so of course, I don't have access to exactly where the funds came. And the reason it looks like so much is because it's kind of like every step of the process that went through during that session. So it doesn't mean we have 2 million in this fund and 3 million in this one and 2.7 in this one, 2.7. It just looks like that. Really what you guys need to focus on is the P5 and the P1, right? So we have still left over in there would be the 2.7 as far as P5.
Correct.
So we still have that capacity to be able to go back next year and get more money for the parish. Just the P5 to P1, all that means is that was new money. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And then P2 is kind of the same
That's my next
thing.
question.
It's kind of like that was the line of credit. So that was the other step in the process as far as getting the money to the parish. So it doesn't necessarily, just because it's on there and says that doesn't mean that it's money that we have to
Not
spend.
available yet.
Right. No. Right.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. Any other questions about that? I'll move on. Okay. All right. So this Terrebonne Sports Complex planning and construction, we have $1,059,839 in P1. Now I do know that the parish has taken down $98,000 to be able to move forward on that. And I don't know necessarily, but I think that's some of the things that y'all are doing at Bayou Country. So you guys were doing some projects out there. I think you were doing some turf or some lighting or something. So that's what that was. So that's good because then, of course, we can go back and say we're working on a project and we're moving forward. And as you can see, Governor Jeff Landry really, really wants these projects done. Like he really wants to see projects for the residents of Louisiana because we are tired of having crumbling infrastructure. So that's kind of what this is about. So we're gonna go down South Louisiana Wetlands Discovery Center. That's you guys own the building, but they get some money every once in a while. They have about $387,000 in P1. Now this one's not on here, and I'm not gonna flip yet. But Industrial Boulevard Pump Station was in P5. We had $900,000. However, it dropped off in 2024. So like I told you guys about those other projects that had dropped off, this one dropped off in 2024. So once again, for us as a legislature to go back and say, well, we need money for this project again, whenever it was already in there and there was no action taken on it, is going to be very difficult. It would be easier to put a new project in there than it would for us to go back and try. But we can try. Whatever you guys want us to do, we can try. But yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Sylvan?
Oh, Lord. Okay. Jessica, I'm looking at South Louisiana Wetland Discovery Center.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you're not aware, but the parish has given $170,000 to this project, and I think that they had capital outlay. 2014. No, not for this. I mean, as a parish, have we not given money?
I'm sorry, maybe I misunderstood. I just want to make sure we're clear. Yes, we have given money to wetlands discovery. Terrebonne
Right.
Parish government has not given any money to match the capital
No.
outlay. Okay, I'm
That's
sorry.
not where I was going with that. And then they've had capital outlay money before. I'm kind of looking at this, and that would not be like a high priority for me when I have bridges and roads.
That's actually old,
Totally. Pumps.
Ms. Chauvin, that's old money. It just hasn't fallen off yet. So
Okay.
it's not something we're going after. It's just
Okay.
it was in the bill. So I'm going through it line
Okay.
by line with you. And like I said, some of this isn't priority stuff. It's just because it was already in the bill. It might have been in the bill from the Claudet administration. But
Okay.
it's just one of these kind of things, and it doesn't even necessarily mean anything. It may already be spent, actually, but it's just still in the bill, if
Well, the
that
reason-
makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the reason I was
Okay.
asking, because you're talking about priorities, and I'm looking at.
Yeah,
something-
right. Yeah, no, and it's not. So,
Okay,
and I'm
thank
really
you.
highlighting the ones that we've been working on and kind of like things that have moved around a little bit.
All right.
And once again, look at that P1 to that P5 to P1 because that's really going to show you new money that came
Okay,
through.
thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to go to the last page. Yes, sir.
Since we're talking about priorities, the Brady Road Bridge was brought up, okay?
Uh-huh.
We talked about 2.7 and 3 point here. That's a $10 million bridge. I want
Yeah.
everybody to realize that. And it is under design right now, so this money will stay where it is because we are in the process of working on that bridge and coming up with the difference.
Right, right, yeah, and so what happens is it's just gonna be pulled down, and then we're gonna say we're gonna go to phase 2 or whatever that is, and be able to go ahead and get more money. However, sometimes they may not fund 100%, and that's where the parish has to come in and say whether we're gonna bond or whatever. And that's a conversation for you guys to have. But just know that sometimes they may say, we're going to bring you to this level, but we're not necessarily going to fund the entire thing.
Yeah, I just wanted people to know that this has been a project for a long time. That's
Right.
been on the books.
Yeah.
This is not just started this
No,
past
yeah.
year. This goes back to probably 10 years. Yeah, well, maybe not 10, maybe 8.
I've got let me find, it was put in the bill in 2020.
Okay.
So that's when it was.
Thought it was longer than that, but okay.
So it may have been longer than that, and you're correct.
And they-
But sometimes it takes a while to get these projects in. That's why it's important to get the projects at least applied for, because sometimes it may take, 2, 4, 6 years to actually get in the bill. And once again, it's part of that trading, right? The senators might say, this is the most important project for my area. It has to be in the bill, right? We all may say that. So sometimes things can kind of jump a little bit. And we'll talk about that as well. So I'm on the back page, and I'm on the top, West Side Alma Street, drainage planning and construction. This is another one that's been in there forever. And it seems like we were working on that way in my council days. And just for 100% transparency, Alma Street drainage is not in my representative district, okay? So it was in my council district when I was a councilwoman. However, it's not in District 53. Not that it's not a priority, everything in the parish is a priority, but so there's still $101,000 as far as P1. I believe it's 1.8 million was the ask that's being asked to be put in the bill. Now, once again, if that's the top priority of the parish, then we're gonna hustle as much as we can. However, it's also been asked for about 10 years. So on the other hand, administration is going to say, well, look, y'all been asking for this money for 10 years. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So, so it's just kind of that yin and yang and that balance of where are they going to be on it. And so there's some things that we may say, and they may say, look, you guys have been working on this for a very, very long time. We don't necessarily think it's worth funding. So that's all conversations that the governor's going to have with his staff as well as kind of the fiscal office. So the next one on here, that's Senator Fessy's project. So I'm not even going to highlight that because that's a project that he kind of went through. The next one I want to highlight is the Hollywood Valhalla Roundabout. Once again, one that we've been going after for a long time. I actually talked to Representative Zarang about this today. He informed me that over the last few years, he was able to get 2.3 million in P1. So that's money that the parish should already have access to. It's not on here because it's already been either distributed to the parish or it's in the fiscal office and they need to go get it. Now, there was this $710,000 that was additionally requested because I believe, and it's not in my district, so I'm not entirely sure the details of it, but he was, Representative Zarang was asked for that additional money so that the parish could go ahead and get started on that. So if you see that's general fund non-recurring, so that's a little bit different. So that came directly out of the general fund. So once again, it's cash money. So according to what I know, based on what I was informed, you guys should be able to go to construction on that project. And then the rest of them, the hospital service district, of course, that's something that's always in there, and Bayou Lafourche Freshwater District. So that is the parish projects as far as the 2025 bill. Now, we do have requests from parish government for 2026 to kind of see where everything goes. But I want you guys to really remember those 3 projects that are not even being put back in the bill. And administration has told me those 3 are not being put in the bill. And a couple of those were in the request. So I just want you guys to be mindful of that as well, that's not going to be something that we're going to be able to go after because it's not going to be put in because there was no action on those projects as well. And we really the administration really wants to see action on these projects. So that is everything I have. I know it was a lot. I just wanted to kind of give you guys as much information as possible as far as the process. Do y'all have any other questions or? Okay.
Yes, thank you. Representative Domingue,
Yes.
the Company Canal Floodgate, Mitigate, and the Twin Span Mitigate.
Yes.
I would really like you guys to move that money to priority 1, that 9 million, so we can, we've already started engineering on it and we've spent the money, so it's in process. So, I appreciate what you guys are doing and that's gonna really help us to seal off the east side of the parish.
Now, is that a CPRA project?
Yeah, I think CPRA is
Gonna be taking
gonna
it.
end up funding it, yes.
And actually, there was one more I wanted to highlight, and I'm so sorry I missed it. Dulac Pontoon Bridge. It's another one. It's not in here, but it's going to be in the request. Now, the way that is coded is it's actually coded as a CPRA project because it's part of Morganza to the Gulf. So, of course, that's an administration question. Maybe I would.
And that's what I was leading up to.
Right.
My question is, I knew it was being funded by CPRA, but, and it's in priority 5. So those 2 monies not going to have anything to do with each other.
It's not
CPRA money don't come through this.
Well, no, it is. So right now it's coded as Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government money. It's not coded through CPRA money. So CPRA is separate. So if you see at the top, that's all the CPRA projects.
Correct.
So this one's not. However, this Dulac Pontoon Bridge is specifically coded as Morgantown to the Gulf CPRA. So that's why I wanted to highlight that one specifically, because that will be funded, but those other ones are not funded through CPR. And that's why I was asking if you guys were working with CPRA to go ahead and put it in their budget rather than put it in your budget. And of course, that's conversations that I'm not necessarily privy to. So that would be something, of course, for you guys to work on. But it would work out because CPRA has a lot of money, as you well know. So that would be advantageous if you could get it out of your priority list and get it into CPRA's priority list.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, Ms. Chauvin.
Representative Dogeman, can you repeat the three? I know one of them is the replacement of D18 that's been dropped. What are the
Yes.
other two?
So the other one was the Valhai extension, Savan to 311 planning and construction. And then the other one is the Industrial Boulevard pump station. And it's not in this bill, but I believe it's going to be in the request. So that was dropped in 2024
Industrial pump station was dropped?
because there was no action on it.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
you're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
Mr. Pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Rep. Domingue. I guess I'll have to get with you at a later date to I guess I'm kind of confused in some of this. I guess this is from administration here, this one
Yeah,
here?
that's later
Okay,
on.
okay, all right, because I'm kind of referencing this versus that, and it's kind of a little bit different as far as the allocation. Some CPRA, some's not CPRA, some have dropped off, and all that. But what I want to ask is,
And
Go ahead.
I'll be honest, I didn't know those dropped off until this week. Until I sat down with the fiscal office, because I had so much time in Baton Rouge this week because I wasn't on any of the committees that were doing the bills, and so I had lots and lots of time to work on this. So I spent probably about 6 hours with them, really digesting the entire thing. So I wasn't even aware that those had dropped off. So that's why I wanted to bring it to you guys so that you guys knew as well, and administration knew also that those did drop off.
okay, easy enough there. Another question I have, say, and I'm asking because I don't know. If we have projects that we've done A&E, we've done engineering, they're shovel ready, let's say, okay? Can we submit those as capital outlay?
So the parish can submit any projects they want. And shovel ready is great, right? The
Well, I'm saying that
yes,
because
Governor
that
Landry
should make it
loves
look a little
yes.
better.
So yes. So there are 64 parishes. Some parishes submit hundreds of capital outlay requests. So they're really, the sky's the limit. And it could be anything from roads to drainage to sewage to buildings to the sheriff wants to build a kitchen. I mean, so there's parks, playgrounds. I know you guys want to dredge the bayou. I mean, that's something there's so many different things that you can do. And the other thing that you guys can do also as a council that's kind of interesting that I like doing as well is just flip through the bill. So like go to legis.la.org and go to HB2, and you can see what other parishes are requesting and getting and things like that. And it's kind of neat to see, that we don't just have to request for pump stations. We can request for any projects. I mean, it really is about capital improvements to our parish and kind of infrastructure and things like that. So I know that I've got some road issues in my area and my neighborhood. I would like to see done. And I know you guys too. I know you guys have called me about projects. I know you yourself, Mr. Pledger, have called me about some drainage projects, and Miss Kim, you've called me about some sewage projects, and Mr. Harding, we've talked about projects as well. So there's lots that we can do with that. And once again, the sky's kind of the limit as far as projects you can put in the bill. And once again, even if it doesn't necessarily get in this year's bill or next year's bill, we have an opportunity to go after it the following year because it's kind of like a plan ahead thing, right? I mean, we're thinking, this is going to be a project for the future. And every once in a while, you can get a project funded in that same year, especially if you get your senators on board and they're like, yes, we want to get this project. We really, really need this money. We've had that happen. We actually had that happen with the levy district in 2020, in 2025. They needed some money for a building. It wasn't even in the bill. And we went after it. We got them about 1.5 million in cash because that was their top priority. And they came to us and they said, we really, really need this because we need to build a storm hardened building. And so we were able to help them out with that. And so those things do happen. But it just has to be kind of like, one of those things where we're all kind of, we know about it, we're requested it, and we all are able to kind of really push that forward.
Okay. Thanks. And I'll be giving you a call, even though November 1st is,
Yeah, it's
days away.
yeah, it's kind of late for this year, and then, unfortunately, we're at our midterm. I mean, believe it or not, I'm about to start my third legislative session as far as this term, and then we go into election year, and that's going to be kind of wild and crazy. So we really, really need to start thinking about 2028 projects as far as administration and council, just because that's kind of the way it works. And I see your face, Kim, like, wow, 2028. But yeah, that's where we are right now because the deadline's here. It's November 1st. But it's just, once again, for you guys to work with your administration and work with Jason and his people to see about getting projects for your area as far as getting them in the bill.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Hamner.
Representative Domingue, I'm learning a lot from you. I have a question, and I think you may have answered it, but I'm going to ask it again. Obviously, not every request can get in the, I counted 11 for Terrebonne Parish. I'm sure there were 20, 25, maybe 30 requests. Is there a list, a wish list somewhere that those other projects that may be worthy that don't make the list this year, that they would automatically be considered for the following year, or does it have to be put in there as a new request?
So whenever I talked to Chairman Harding about coming in today, I was not aware that Parish President Bergeron had put on the agenda to discuss his capital outlay project. So I didn't want to steal his thunder as far as the things that he's requested and the things that he's put in. But once again, it's if you want to just continue pursuing it, right? And so let's just pretend that you want road panels in your district, right? And so you're going to request, $1 million for road panels for Terrebonne Parish, whatever that is. And I'm just pulling it out the air, right?
Good example.
Yeah, and you're like, we really, really need to do this. So you guys, the administration puts it in the bill, or he requests it, and then if it doesn't get in the bill this year, he just sends the same request next year to continue to pursue it, right? And once again, some of those things are dropping off. So there will be room for things to kind of move up a little bit. Because once again, you've got 3 projects in the parish that are completely dropping out of the bill. So once again, between the governor's office and the fiscal staff and the Ways and Means Committee, they kind of make those decisions. And I can tell you, and I'm sure you guys know this, Governor Landry's administration is really, really, really focused on infrastructure and really focused on economic development. So just to kind of think about those things as far as projects, those are things that he is 100% focused on, and that's really kind of been the top priority of his administration.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Chauvin has,
Yeah, I have just a couple questions. When you're looking at top priority, I guess, I would wonder how you gauge that, but also you said that there are parishes adding like a lot of different projects. But wouldn't it behoove us as a parish to go after selective things, meaning the money that they're gonna put behind it? Because we already have like three that have dropped off, like industrial canal pump station. That's a major one for us,
Well, you didn't have cash in it.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was in P5, so you didn't lose any money.
No, but
Yeah.
meaning it's an important pump station within the parish is what I'm saying, and now it's dropped off.
Mhm.
And there's no way to, is there no way to put it back on? Does it not get any?
And it's something, of course, we can request it, but I'm gonna go to and request it, and they're gonna say, well, it was in the bill for 10 years and the parish didn't move on it.
Okay.
Why do you need it in the bill again? And so that's the conversation, that's kind of the answers that we have to have is, what is the reason why we need to put in the bill whenever we haven't moved on it in this long of time? Now I guess the other part of your question is if it's already in here, why are we not? And that once again is part of the administration, right? I mean, that's the decisions that they have to make. As I told you guys before, some of these projects have been in there since 2014, 2020, 2023. So they were the Dove administration's projects. So is the Bergeron's administration's priorities the same as the Dove administration's priorities, or does he have different priorities, right? And that's decisions that you guys have to make as far as what goes in the bill, because he doesn't have to ask for support on any of these projects. He can literally start over on everything. And just because it has, or he could say, I'm only gonna keep the ones that have the P1 and not go after anything else. I'm not even going to request anything else and start all new projects. That's all things that happen as far as administration. And once again, I'm not privy to those decisions as far as kind of what they prioritize and what they don't prioritize, but it's all options that are on the table as far as, them being able to move forward on projects.
Okay, and I guess for me, like top priority is when you have sewage going in people's homes, when it rains and different things like that, that we would want to fix those types of things. I know we have it on East Homa, and I think we have some on West Side,
I would agree. And when your roads are cracking and bubbling because the sewage lines
Just
are
not enough money
broken,
to
I
go
would
around.
I would imagine that's probably a priority too. However, once again, I am not able to make those decisions.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Pleasure.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Okay, now, I've had an opportunity to review some of those House bills to try and, from a budgetary standpoint, to try and get an idea of, how the state expends, amounts of money. Tell me if I'm wrong, but a lot of those funds that are being sent to different municipalities, it's not $10 million. It's not, $20 million. A lot of those expenses are monies that's being sent to the different parishes, 500,000, 750,000. I mean, to me, that's low-hanging fruit for when it comes to projects. If we have little small projects that we've already started, maybe, that's shovel-ready, those are the types of projects I'm thinking that we can try and focus on. Now, not to discount the larger projects, but if we can get a bunch of little amounts throughout the parish, I think that would do us some justice too
So
as well.
that's a good way to look at it. Another way to look at it is big projects that you can phase out over time. So you could say, I've got a $10 million project, but I've got a 5-year window to be able to complete that project. And here's my planning for that. And that's part of what administration does as well is here's the planning for that. I want to change out all of the clay pipes in downtown Homa. So and I know that's going to be $20 million. Here's my phases. I'm going to start here and then I'm going to go here. And it's all part of the planning process. And that's part of what the state wants to see as well, is that you've got a plan for these projects. So when you go apply for it, they're going to know they're going to give you the money and it's not going to sit in the bill. It's actually going to be spent. Because once again, if you don't spend it, you lose it. And they are just taking it and putting it back in general fund. And they've done that with lots of projects and lots of different areas. And so we've been seeing that. And our governor's been very aggressive with that because he really wants to see these projects done. So yes, you are correct. We could do little projects or we could go after big projects and kind of phase them.
Thanks. Good.
Okay, Mr. Trustclair.
Yes. So I guess pretty much, capital outlay in a nutshell is basically long-range planning. It's not planning for today, it's planning for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the road.
Mhm. Yes, absolutely. It's future planning and kind of looking at, being proactive and looking at what we want to accomplish and looking at our goals, kind of looking back at the past administrations. Parish President Michel Claudet, he was a roads guy. All right, and he really, really wanted to fix our roads. He was really kind of passionate about roundabouts. And so you saw a lot of those projects. You saw a lot of the money coming into the parish for roads and things like that. We all know Parish President Dove was very, very much passionate about levees, coastal protection, and pump stations. And so that's why you've got these projects in the bill, is because that's what he worked on during his 8 years here, was kind of focusing on those things. So I would encourage you guys to work with your administration and say, what is our projects? Like, what's our priority here as far as a parish? And, once again, I am not privy to how you guys operate. It's very different than when I was here. But Parish President Dove would ask us for a wish list. And so all 9 of us every year would give a wish list. And so that's kind of how he created his capital outlay request, was based on the needs of each 9 of you's council areas, right? Each 9 of you's district. And so I know that's how I got some projects done in my area. Specifically, the boardwalk was a project that we were able to get through capital outlay. And that was just something that we wanted, a quality of life project. And so we were able to do that. I had some drainage issues in some of my neighborhoods we were able to do. So that's kind of where it's at. Bayou Country was another one that Parish President Dove worked with Representative Tanner McGee as far as getting some funding for that also. So it's just kind of looking at goals once again and seeing what's the goals of the parish and where is it that we want to see ourselves 5 years, 10 years down the road, right? And that's really what this is about, is looking at how we can be proactive as far as projects, but also knowing that there may be an immediate need like sewage that we could probably get some funding for very, very quickly. Because I'm with you, Miss Kim. We've got some significant issues back in my neighborhood, and Mr. Champagne, I would encourage you to go back in the back of Maple and go see the giant hump that is just continually, and it's all because we've got some really poor sewage back there. But once again, I can't make those decisions for you guys, but I can work for you. And I promise you, we will go and get the money for you in Baton Rouge once we know kind of what the priorities are.
Mr. Champagne.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your presentation, Ms. Domingue. So my understanding is 3 levels of priorities. Is the parish level priority, our delegations level priorities, and then the state government's priorities, right? And so things that may go in this year, the delegation may change, or for a couple of years it may stay the same, but it's really tough to plan, I guess, 4 years out when all these different people are changing and the priorities may change depending on which administration, right? And so, and I guess my question is, there's some things that you're saying dropped off. Most of those were priority 5s, right?
Yeah.
That never moved.
They never moved.
And they're just sitting
Right.
there.
Mhm. Yep.
And is that because if our parish had put it up, and then did our delegation not push hard enough back then, or was it the state administration didn't see those as priorities? Like, is there any strategy that we can have?
So I've only been in the legislature for 2 years, so I can't speak on what happened before I got here and kind of how they prioritize these things or how they even got these things in the bill. Because once again, none of these were projects that we were
Right.
able to get in the bill. And so, I guess going back to the levy board and their 1.5 million that they needed, they came to us and they said, we really need this money. They came to all 5 of us and said, we really need you guys' help to push as hard as we can. And we were able to push really hard, and we actually got it in the bill, new money, and it had never even been in the bill. So it's kind of a combination. And look, that's going to be with anything, Kevin. You guys may all change in 2 years, but it doesn't mean that the parish is going to stop working on projects and stop planning for the future just because the priorities might change. It's just we have to have at least a vision as kind of where we're going to go and what we're going to do. Now, I can assure you, I'm still going to be here, God willing. If the voters want me here, I'll be your senior member in the House because Representative Amity and Representative Zarang are going to be termed out. Big Mike and Senator Allan are both going to be there. Senator Allan has 2 more terms, and Senator Fessy has 1 more term. So you're still going to have a core group there to be able to continue to push as far as the priorities of the parish. But you are right, it could change. It could change based on, Hurricane Ida changed a lot for us. So, but we still, if it's not in the bill and it's not requested, it's never going to be fulfilled. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Well, Ms. Dobain, it was a pleasure serving with you up here, and it's a pleasure listening to you come back with some information for us to actually digest. And what I get out of this, we're all in this together. Don't let anything pass by, and actually stay on top of everything. And hopefully the delegation that we have that's representing us stick together and always have a love for Terrebonne Parish. Mr. Benjamin?
Yeah, I want to thank Ms. Domain for coming and bringing this information and sharing what's going on at the state level with us. I was wondering if we're middle of this topic, is there an opportunity for you to show my presentation now to not, it's going to be at the end, so we're going to have a little time that lapse, but I wanted to throw that out as an option.
And sometimes there's always a debate whether we transfer over with our agenda, and what we don't have to do is go into the public 6:30 public hearing before 6:30, so we can actually go along, and you can actually if anyone have a disagreement.
Second.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chairman, would you like me to stick around just in case there's any additional questions for me? Yeah?
Well, if you choose to, you know what I mean? You're
It's-
not
it's-
obligated, you know
okay.
what I mean, if you choose to.
Okay.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Trustclair, second by Ms. Chauvin. They will deviate to capital outlay presentation by parish president. And my light is not on. Members, there you go. Any more discussion? Member, vote your machine. Motion passed 9-0. Mr. Bedroom.
Turn me on here. All right. So going through this capital outlay process, it's interesting because everybody you talk to just talks about how convoluted or how involved it is. And so through some questions I had received, I thought it'd be a good idea to present kind of where we're at, what's going on. And that's what I have for you guys here today. So in 2024, getting here, there were 17 projects on a list that Gordy Dove and I spoke about and looked at the priorities of those projects. And through that, we ended up submitting about 20 projects. Only 10 of those were selected for HB2. And the thing I want to make sure everybody understands that even if it makes HB2, it doesn't mean it gets funded. So one of the projects that was mentioned, and I'll show on the slide a little bit here, is that we had some funding that was listed in, I think it was priority one, but it didn't get bonded out because the state government had over allocated and they couldn't bond everything out that they had promised. So even though it made HB2, the money we were supposed to receive, we didn't get the information that we could because they didn't go to bond on it. So, and when you look at that, you know, every time we talk any dollar amount, we're looking at a 33% match for Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government, right? So that's $1 million project, $330,000 is funding that has to come from Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government. And we have to hold on to that funding for the entire time that it sits in HB2 going back and forth through the bid bond process, right? So if we say we're gonna do $1 million project, we gotta take $330,000, we gotta put it right there, and it stays there until that project is finalized or gotten rid of. So application, of course, is due November 1st. We send all the applications out. You know, one of the things I did in 2024 is sat down, I met with all of you guys, talked about wish list items, plus throughout the year, we talked about, I got this problem, I got that problem. So every time we talked about that, we gather the information. And one of the things I also did getting into the parish government is I asked, do we have a list of all projects that need to be partially funded, fully funded, have zero funding, a bunch of wish to haves on one of coulds? And working with Candace, it took about a year to put it together. And that project list right now is up to 324 projects / major purchases. So could be vehicles, could be some other things, with an estimated funding cost of $783 million, of which we are still looking for $565 million worth of funding for. Now, funding could be 15 to 20 different funding sources. When I look at the, you know, going through these projects and trying to identify, what we did is we had our team, and so say we have drainage projects. We got with our drainage department, give us what you feel like is priority, right? And based on conversations and feedback that I'd get from you guys on things that I know were important to you, we'd factor that in. And the goal is like, okay, can we fund the top priority for every category? Roads and bridges, drainage, sewage, I mean, just going down the line. And so looking at that list, looking at the fact that we had 17 projects when I got here, we ended up putting 20 projects up, and of those 20, a few rolled off. So, for example, the Bike Country Sports Park, we're going through some things with reconciliation with the state to look at what we can count as a match. So if we provide property or some other things, a lot of times that'll count as a match, which lets us free up other funding to use towards projects. And so, and this is a project that will process that Candace and Jeannie Bray, along with the engineers that we work with. I mean, you go down the line, GIS, Delta Coast, T. Baker Smith, you go down the line, we're all working together to say, we need this funding here, we got to do this to get to construction. And so of the 20 projects we submitted last year, 14 of those were from the previous administration. And I'll go through some time periods when I go to my next slide. And so, you know, it is a balance, but through that process, we ended up putting 6 new projects up. And then we ended up adding a project in that process that we talked about earlier with Mike Fazy on the Neuro IO. And I'll give a little bit of information on that in a little bit. So, you know, through this process, a couple other things that have happened is that we became a member of the Delta Region Authority. We were one of only 3 parishes in the state that were not part of the Delta Region Authority. And the Delta Region Authority primarily works around water and sewage. So looking at getting in part of the Delta Region Authority, looking at the $70 million that the state allocated for water sector grants, which is also water and sewage, those are the areas that I look at when we have a conversation about sewage, that those are going to be potential funding sources. On top of that, with CDBGDR, we have a wastewater treatment study. So that wastewater treatment study is going to tell us if we add this road, if we add this neighborhood, if we add these houses, if we add this community, this is what it costs on the front end, plus this is what it costs on either the north treatment plant or the south treatment plant to add capacity there also, right? So without that wastewater study, you know, we were going, well, this project might be $1 million, it might be $3 million, it might be this, it might be that. And so through CDBGDR, because of low to moderate income rankings, Village East was selected as an implementation project for sewage, right? And that was based on the fact of some other areas that maybe we want to do it with wasn't LMI. So as we go through this process and we look at all these funding sources, we then had the federal delegation level open up where they started doing earmarks again. And in conversations with them, they were saying their sweet spot was $4 million to $5 million. Let's find projects that are $4 million to $5 million. And so we submitted projects to each one of our senators and congressmen. And luckily in 2024, we had multiple congressmen to cover the area, but that changed with Clay Higgins. And so when you look at it, you really got Cassidy, Kennedy, and Higgins going to bat for us. But Senator, I'm sorry, not Senator, Scalise also, like we had a project that was under him, we transferred under Higgins. And so one of those projects that was transferred was to help get our EOC built up. And that's actually a process that's going through with GOSEP and getting that funding. And so of the projects we submitted to the senators and to the congressmen, we ended up with the one project that Higgins took over from Cassidy, but none of the other projects were accepted. And so coming back around, that's something we're going to put up again. A project that I picked to bring up to the federal level was the Agriculture Center at Bike Country Sports Park, right? That's a perfect price point, and it fits into what they're asking for. And they like projects they can cut ribbons on. So that's what we're looking at when we look at these 324 major funding projects that are partially funded, fully funded, or not funded at all, and organizing that by category and organizing that also, to be fair, spreading it across the parish to make sure we don't have too many projects in one area. This is the process that we go through. And this 324 project list I'm working on, we've had, working through this past year, right now this document's got 5 or 6 tabs on it. We're working on integrating that with up-to-date statuses because we're doing engineering projects in our planner platform. And so we're working on building out a platform that would let you guys go and say, I want to see all our drainage projects and categorize by district. And so that all the things we're trying to get funded. We know the priority that's been laid out through conversations with our directors, conversations with you guys on what, I've heard from every one of you what's important in your district on a regular basis. Kim calls more than y'all rest of y'all do, but that's okay. So, just kind of putting all this together to understand the work that, our parish employees are doing, because what we do is, and this is something we did as we changed the way we're doing some of the stuff with the budget, is throughout the year, each department's going to add their wish list items. We go into the budget process, we look to take those wish list items and move them to the full project list, and then we start categorizing. So something that might have been a priority 3 might be a priority 1 now. And something that maybe didn't exist might jump up and become a priority 1 in the first time that we do that. And then our departments go back to making that wish list again. And a lot of times it's conversations. One of the things I think is real important when our residents report issues, the first thing I want to make sure that we can say is that we know about it. And we are never surprised. There's never something that goes, we didn't know that was an issue. I go to our team, we know we're trying to get this funding. We tried to do that. We had a land right issue. We had a right of way issue. We had, you just go through the different levels of things that we work through with this. Any questions on this before I move forward to the actual projects? Okay. And so as you see right here, we put it in a very, very easy to read format to look at what that total estimated cost was, what funding's needed. When you look at that funding needed, we might be getting that from a local match. We might be getting that from a grant. It could be coming from a few different sources. And actually have the amount of years that the project has been with FP&C. FP&C, capital outlay, you could use those interchangeably. And so, yes, sir.
I just had a thought. Do you have a figure? You mentioned 33%, right? All of these projects that you're going to mention today, what is the amount of money that we're going to actually have ourselves to get these projects done?
Some of them I do because we've calculated. Some of these other ones, one of the projects is a $108 million project. 33% of that's got to come from us.
Yeah, but then that's what I was just figuring out because I'm looking
I
at
get that
figures.
number. I just don't have it on.
Okay, then that's where I'm at with that.
Right.
Okay.
And some of that stuff varies because in certain projects we can get matches from different places, right? So we might have CPRA cover a match for us if the opportunity presents itself. We have the opportunity because of increased revenue sharing to have more Go Mesa dollars. It's going to be about $50 million to the state, of which I think we get 20%, if I'm not mistaken. So now we're going to get 20% of that $50 million to better put into drainage projects. That's a bucket of money we didn't expect to have. That's an opportunity to say, again, when you look at this list and you go, drainage projects, pump projects, right? There's a couple of projects I'm gonna talk about that we're working with CPRA that if they could take care of either the full amount or the remaining amount, that moves it out the way for capital outlay, another project moves up in its place. And also through conversations we've had with the federal and local delegations about the conversation we keep hearing, shovel-ready projects, projects that they want to get finished, projects they want to get off the books. You know, as you look at this list right here, I could tell you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was the Brady Road Bridge went up $2 million. And that's the problem that we have with these projects going on this time. And correct me if I'm wrong on that one, it's a lot of projects. But because it sits so long on capital outlay, we did have the money, and then we went back to engineering and got a new estimate, and the project increased by 20%. Now we don't have the money, right? When you look at the project, the 18 pump station, we're $512,000 short. So, you know, to hear today, and again, working with our senators, working with FPNC, we're going to be making a trip up there, make trips and talk with the president of the Senate and the House and just everybody about what do we got to do to get some projects finished. You know, there's funding that we put in place, the states put in place. And again, we asked last year, I need $512,000 to finish the project. You know, it was in a priority 5. Can we get that in priority 1 or do something like with Brady Road? We were able to get money in priority 2. The thing that's important to remember, we cannot go to bid. Okay. We can't go to bid on a project until we have all the funding. Right. So when you look at Brady Road Bridge and the design being completed at the end of the year, we were able to get that 2.7 million in priority 2 and a hopeful commitment from administration to fund the rest of it. Because if we don't get that 2.7 million when the design's done at the end of the year, we can't go to bid. We can't go to bid unless we have where all the funding is accounted for. So we're working through that. We've been working with that is Delta Coast Consulting on that project. They've been making phone calls. As we understand, we'll better get that project fully funded, but it's been there for 9 years, right? And so as you can imagine, these projects get put on and they go up 20%, 30% over every 2, 3, 4 years. That's where you run into the problem where some stuff we have remaining balances that we need. So Valhalla Roundabout, we got everything we needed with that project. The cross increase with that project because we're looking to do underground electrical. We waited of doing above ground versus underground electrical. If we would do above ground electrical, you'd run the risk of somebody hitting a telephone pole and knocking out electricity in that intersection in a roundabout. So we're going underground electrical. We were able to get that funding through Representative Zarang, that project. But again, until that's fully expended and everything's been processed, these projects have to be submitted every year. So we can have $100,000 that we're trying to reconcile. Every year we got to submit an application in for that project, and we got to get letter of support every year. So when I look at the fact that we submitted 20, we ended up with 10, you know, we're trying to figure out, number one, in the 10 that we did receive, how can I get those projects finished? And how do I get the other 10 that didn't make it, 1 or 2 more? Now, it's not on here, but the Neuro IO project, you know, that was one that came up this past year related to LED, supposed to do some stuff in the previous administration, and basically the ball getting dropped. And so we had a company, $100 million investment, medical data center company that was debating not coming here because LED dropped the ball. So working with Senator Fazy, working with Cohen at TITA, we put that in priority 5, $12.5 million. I know that $12.5 million took away from other projects. But again, we had the risk of losing a $100 million project that's going to be a medical data center in Terrebonne Parish. And so through those conversations and working on our delegations, sometimes you go, okay, we're going to put this. We know, you know, we might not get Brady Road and Neuro, but at the end of the day, it's a decision that we had to make, and it's quick. I mean, it's come up today, get it done tomorrow. If we don't get this to them by Friday, they're pulling out. And we ended up salvaging that deal, and we're working hard. Now, that money, as committed as $12.5 million, is going to be held for 5 years, not paid out till the 5th year if they meet all their requirements with LED and the LOI they have in place. But that money is going to sit on the books under Terrebonne Parish for 5 years. And looking at, you know, one of the other things that we've done, and myself, Cohen, the airport, the port, Fletcher, and I might be leaving off one. We have a call once a month because one of the things that we are looking at is combining resources and trying to make sure that we are not fighting each other. We just went through this process with the DRA grants that we just received 2 grants with the DRA this year, but because we received the 2 grants with DRA, Fletcher and Tita did not, right? So some of these situations, it's either us or them. So we are trying to make sure, that we are working together, and that's why when I went up to DC the last time, I brought Andrew with the airport with me because I wanted all our senators and congressmen to know how important it is that the work that's being done at the airport creates a new industry and supports industries. When I look at oil and gas and fisheries and the things that they can do with autonomy and drones and robotics, I felt it was important for our delegation at the federal level to know how important the airport's work was to us. And so we went up together and we worked and working on getting the things that they need. So, going through Valhalla Runabout, replacement of D18 pump station, as we look through Go Mesa money coming in, working with CPRA, there are other funding opportunities if it comes back to it that we're working on. I look at the West Side Alma drainage. That's a phase 3 of 3 phases, right? Last year, that project we were looking for $1.4 million. Prices went up. Now we're looking for 1.846. And last year we said, I want the rest of that funding to go with P1. And the way we were doing it is, for example, on the $500,000 for D18, we had $2,125,000 in priority 5. I said, all I need is $500,000 for that project. I'd like to take the rest of that money and put it into West Side Alma drainage, right? And so that's where we're saying, hey, look, the money's there. It's not being used for this. We're being fiscally responsible. We fully funded D19 pump station, so we were able to take that off last year. That's one of the projects that we took off because we found another way to fund it. But take that money you had set aside for that project and put it towards this one. And that's the things that we worked through with our delegation, with our lobbyists, and with everybody I've talked about so far. Dulac Pontoon Bridge dry dock. Of that project, we have $400,000 local. We're trying to find the other $1,050,000 to get that project done. And you can see that's one of the projects that we added last year. So anything that shows a 2 is going to be a project that we added last year. Any questions before I move to the next slide? Yes, sir.
So like comparing Jessica's HB projects and comparing your projects, like for Valhalla, this in Jessica's is going to be pulled. Is she saying it's going to be dropped? You have it on here, but the difference is this is a different pots of money for some of the funding. And it would be helpful if you could put which pot of money.
You're talking about Valhalla Extension?
Yes,
I ain't got
I'm
that
just
one
using
yet.
that one as an example.
So
there's a you
when you
understand
look
what
at Valhalla Extension and that project being a $50 million project, right? We have $32 million in P5. We have $2.6 million that we were getting from the state, and we had a match of $200,000. Now, what we've been going through is an engineering study because there's wetlands involved to figure out one of 3 paths to get through. But that right there between that project and HNC Bayou Grand Caillou Pump Station, it's $150 million worth of projects. And if you look at these reports every year, it's $1 million here, $2 million there, 100,000 there, 500,000 there. So to say the project's getting pulled, that's a conversation I had with Gordy Dove recently on him and I working to get that extension done because that's the north-south corridor for hurricane evacuation. There's a project that DOTD is working on that's going to be a roundabout by Fletcher. And so, these are things through the conversations we had. We did get a dormant project letter, and it said, these projects hadn't moved. What are you guys looking at doing? And we said, we're still doing this. This is why we're waiting on that. We're doing this. This is why we're waiting on that. This increased because of the price of the project increased. And so those are the things that we worked on. When did we send that letter? When did that letter come through? Yeah, in the summertime. So this is stuff that we're working year round to understand.
So
how we
I
get
guess
this stuff done.
just for clarification for me. So if it's falling off the HB2 for next year, are we going to try to ask for it to be put back on?
So everything that you're looking at on this list is all stuff we're asking to get put back on because some of it is dormant projects that we said we didn't want taken off in the first place. And so when you look at the fact that it's dropping off, well, there's money that's already been spent with the state. Because when we have an FP&C projects, one of the things that takes a while is anytime we do a contract, like an engineering contract on the miter gates, every time we do a contract, that contract has to go to FP&C. They have to approve everything we're doing, and then it comes back to us. So some of this stuff takes 6 months to get the contract, a proposal, get it approved by them, get it approved by us, and everything else. And so you might go 6 months to a year just going back and forth with FP&C about, this is y'all project, or this is a project that you're funding, so you got to approve the engineering. And if they got questions, then you go back and forth on why this or how that, or where's this match coming from. And so when I look at that and saying it's going to be wiped off the books, my question is, okay, we spent money on this, y'all spent money on this. What happens to that? And looking at that project again, when you look at some of the projects that I added, the reason why I kept that project at what I'd call the priority that it was is because we did have a decent amount of funding that was coming from the state that we want to make sure that we kept. And at the same time, that's one of the projects that we are looking for a match on. I think we're somewhere around, let's see, 900,000. I think $1.83 million was a match that we were looking for to take the next step with engineering on that project. So, good. Okay.
Jason, a couple of things. The Hollywood Valhalla Roundabout, okay, you're showing here it's fully funded, but when you were describing the process and where it's at in the process, you kind of alluded to that we're still looking for money for it. So
Not that project. No.
Okay.
We went through. We had to make a decision about whether we could do above ground or underground electrical.
Right.
When we did, the price went up, and we went to Z and worked with Clyde, in fact, on that to get that money to get that project.
I
finished.
misunderstood
So
that.
that's a done deal. And look, I say it's a done deal. We got to get a CEA. We got to get on some of these projects. We might have like 10 funding summaries, and so it's a reconciliation like your bank account. Every time you get a document, okay, where this money moved here. Did this money get bonded? If it didn't get bonded, why it didn't get bonded? So that's just a battle that we fight.
And then my next question is the D18 pump. Okay. Ms. Dominguez in her presentation said that it had been dropped off of the HB2 bill. And then you have it on yours. So you actually resubmitted that in this year's
Right.
capital outlay?
So to hear it's been dropped off HB2, when I hear that, I look at the process that says we're submitting applications right now, right? And again, all these are coming with letters from the engineers, letters from the delegation. HB2 doesn't exist yet, right? So unless they're saying they might not put it back on HB2, but that's a conversation that we're going to have. We've already working with our lobbyists to get with the administration because the governor's going to get in there and look at HB2, don't want, and he's going to use his staff to do that. Well, we have a great working relationship with our lobbyists, with the governor. So to look at that and say, maybe somebody looked at that and didn't realize it's only $500,000. So we're going to fight for these projects to get them in HB2. I wish we could get all 20, but some level between 20 and 1, we're going to work on hopefully no less than 10.
Right. So, like I said, if I'm understanding what Representative Dominguez said, that it's not going to be an HB2 this year. So you're if you submitted this on your request, on the November 1st request, it's got to go through the process again with our delegation to get back on the HB2 bill.
Well, all of them do. So all 20 projects have to go through the exact same process, including the Valhalla Roundabout that is fully funded. We have to do the application. We got to submit letters of support, even though it's fully funded, until it's cleared off of FP&C's books. And so to say it got pulled, it doesn't get noticed. It doesn't get not even an opportunity to get pulled till we put it up for the application. And we've been working with the state to say, these are dormant projects. We want to continue them. We're putting them back on the application. So we're putting applications in for them. Now, if they come back and say, that one you hadn't done enough with it, and no matter what, we're going to pull it anyway, then we look at some, go make some money or something else to get it funded. Because that's a very important pump station.
Thank
you. All right. So I talked Newer IO. We talked Valhalla Savannah Extension, Bike Country Sports Park. So one of the things that we've been working through on that project is a process where we actually had land that we provided. With that land, it offsets some of the match that we needed to pay. We've been going back and forth with FP&C to figure that out, right? And again, this is what we show. What do you show? Okay, this is what you show. This is what we show. So we're going back and forth on that. We can see that project's been there 13 plus years. So the reason why we say 13 plus is that's how far back it went with Jeannie Bray. It could have been on before that. So, and that's where we're looking at. Again, you see the status. We need a bond sold for what is P1. No more funding needed. And that's projects that we're working on. The next project is going to be the tennis courts at White Country Sports Park. So D19, that one is one that isn't funded. That's one that we're having a conversation with. I think that one's going to be CPRA and Argo Mesa. And again, that's just ones that we're working through. Wetlands discovery, that was talked about. That project's getting finished up. Again, as long as that's an active project, you work with FPNC. You gotta keep it on the list. That project's 12 years old, and then you go see all the 2 years, right? Savannah Road widening, the Air Base Park softball complex, the golfplex, the golf course, City Park, and the Government Tower parking garage, right? So the first three working with our council members, working with our delegation, and then having that tower parking garage every time I throw it out to get funding. And that's something I want to make sure I realize also. All these projects, we might throw out to 5 funding sources, 4 funding sources, and see what sticks. Maybe we partially fund it here or partially fund it there. So far, I haven't been able to get anybody to bite on the parking garage. And, when you have a conversation about why we need a parking garage, well, for those that may or not know, we actually were housing vehicles related to PHI. We had an agreement that we couldn't approve the other day because, I say the other day, but it might have been a year now, because the parking garage isn't parkable right now. But we also kept equipment and police cars and other things in that garage that protected them from the storm. Because we had vehicles not in that garage, we had a little more damage related to Francine. So I'm selling that as a hurricane protection package or a facility that can allow us to keep some stuff secure. And that's why that project is on it. And so you're going to see 2 slides for CPRA. Meeting with Gordon Dove, Chairman Dove, we submitted, I want to say it was $650 million worth of projects to CPRA. We whittled that down to about 20 million. Of course, Chairman Dove's got to be fair to all the parishes and can't give Terrebonne Parish all the money. But this is a list of the projects that we went through. With CPRA, some of this stuff is first year, some of this stuff gets divided into multiple years. Some of the higher numbers, especially if you're going to go engineering over a few years, you're going to have where you might put up, a $12 million project might be so much a year for 3 years, or a $6 million project might be so much a year for 2 years. So you see Bayou LeCarte Pump Station, Industrial Boulevard Pump Station, the Bayou Terrebonne Lock Pump Station, which is at the bottom of Montague. Again, we have $11 million. We need another, we have $5 million. We need another 11. And so these are all things that CPRE is committed to try to fund, but I'm not taking them off of a list till I get that guarantee. And they're going through their process as CPRA, right? We have the HNC Bayou Grand Kaya Pump Station. You can see that's a $108 million project. That's 6,000 CFS of water with the Homeland Navigational Canal drainage basin. We're going through a conversation of whether or not that was going to be, it couldn't be one 6,000 CFS pump because the footprint was too large. So is it 3 2,000s, 2 3,000s, or 6 1,000s? And working through getting funding and working with CPR to get the $12 million for that engineering. And then we got the miter gates that Steve talked about earlier, looking to get those projects fully funded through CPRA with the funds that we've already received from FPNC. And so, again, any opportunity we have to get these projects funded, then we don't have to put them as a request in an application for next year. And we can work through that list this year as we get through, don't put this on HB2, put it on HB2.
Thank you. And full transparency, I appreciate seeing this, Jason. So we received letters and we only received, and you put it all together in one bucket as far as CPRA, and those all come different. But as far as Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government, we received 11 requests. I do not have a letter for Savannah Road widening, which is a request. I do not have a letter for the golf course City Park, and there's no request for Government Tower parking garage. So full transparency, I'm not sure if something didn't correlate, but those are projects I've never seen before, and we never received any letters requesting funding for those projects. So.
And my understanding is those letters will go to the representatives of the areas they support. And again, we're working through some of these letters. We have a few days to get those letters in. But I've received guarantees from our person in the office that works on it and the engineers, that the letters are going out.
Okay. Just wanted full transparency. I never received letters on those. Yeah, I can let you know the list right now, what I received.
Yeah, we'll just hold it. Let me get it from you.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct.
All good.
Thanks.
We just want to work together and get this. Look, man, I wish we could fund all this stuff.
Just have a question. Jace, I see we have, I mean, you kind of put it all together to put it in perspective for everybody to understand, $783 million worth of projects and all that. I'm just gonna keep it simple. I just want to put it in layman terms where everybody can understand. I know we have a lot of projects, 108 million, 70 million, 5 million, 10 million, all these different big numbers. But I'm thinking back to the town hall you had in East Homa when Mr. David Rome, he was speaking on, say, a drainage, or somebody asked about drainage or something in the neighborhood, right?
At $80,000.
Right, about 80,000. Well, maybe Rep. Doman could help me understand that, but when I reviewed and looked through the House bills, they had projects like that within those House bills and they gave money for. Another no-brainer would be they had like trucks and heavy equipment and things like, we're always using that and we pass that all the time, trying to, and we're buying those things. Are we going to can we put some of those, and I'm going to ask, can we put things like that in there? Even if we can't get it right now, well, I'm sure in a year, 2 years, or whenever the House bill goes through, I'm sure we'll need an F-350 or something, huh?
I mean, the thing to think about is when it goes to HB2, very rarely is it ever funded the first year. So when you're looking for the funding, if I have a sewage that's 80 grand and I need it fixed now, I can't wait 2 years for that, right? So as we look through this process, and I'll give you all a couple comparatives, as we look to get some road work done, one of the things that was on the list was Savan Road. Well, in CDBGDR, Savan Road wasn't considered LMI, but Hollywood Road was. So one of the projects that we're working on is Hollywood Road. There's a widening project and there's a culvert project. So we're gonna tackle the widening project with the CDBGDR, and we're looking at using some capital money to do the culvert project to get that finalized, right? So it is really dependent on how quick we need it and if we can wait a year or 2 or 3 or 5. Hopefully some of that smaller stuff we could just knock out and handle, right, internally, or working with grants and a couple other projects. Again, having the DRA open up as an opportunity for drainage and the water sector money open as opportunities for drainage and water, that's really where I think we could push heavy with those projects to get that stuff done.
Sure.
Anybody else?
Okay, so one of the things that I brought up was the sewage issue of going back up in people's houses. So you're pursuing the monies to go after that from the Delta region?
So Delta region and water sector, but we can't pursue it till we get the study done with CDBGDR on wastewater to tell us, this project's gonna be X amount of dollars to do. For example, I know like on Laban Avenue area, in Oakshire and in Village East, we're looking to do that process that injects the pipe and creates an internal part of the pipe. So when we fix some of those areas and when we add some other areas, that's all stuff that we could say, okay, we come back to you guys and say, we got a list of 20 sewage projects. As a council or as a parish, this is what we see as priority. Do y'all agree? Okay, let's go after number one and go get it through either water sector or from DRA or whatever opportunity there might be, with knowing that the water sector money was coming available, the DRA stuff was going to be available. So instead of sticking that into CPRA,
Right.
I got other funding opportunities for that.
Okay, I mean, that's one of the big things, because I've talked to you about this from South Van to industrial. There are big problems in that neighborhood with sewage problems and backing up in people's houses. I cannot imagine having to deal with that, and so it is a big priority for me. When you put on here the Industrial Boulevard pump station, so that's something that you're going after with CPRA, correct?
It is, and again, when I look at Industrial Boulevard, you look at the fact that we have It's $8.4 million project.
Okay,
We have everything but 3.376.
so we need
So,
that.
so we need that 3.376, which I'm going to CPRA for to help us get that funded. So I could take, instead of using CPRA money for that, I use CPRA money for something else. Does that make sense?
But you're going to CPRA to
For the
get-
remaining balance.
Okay,
And going to use the money we already got from FPNC and our local match money that we have.
okay, no, totally get it. I just wanted to be clear on that. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right.
Yeah, we keep talking about the industrial pump station, okay? That used to be in the district I represent. It doesn't drain the district that I represent, but it was housed in the district. Probably 3 or 4 years ago, there was a lot of problems with that pump, and that pumping station was redone, okay? So it's much more, has much more capacity now than it had before. I think they took out 20 dump truck loads of sludge from the pond that holds the reservoir that holds it. So the other pump, the other station that they're talking about is a new one to replace that one. But that one has been I just want to get it out there. That one has been upgraded, possibly from a 5 to a 9 as far as an operational standpoint.
I'm glad they did that work. I used to live in that neighborhood, and I can't remember which storm it was, but they had to backfill the system because there was a worry that pump station was going to give away. And so that's yeah. All right. Is that it? I think that's it. Yeah. So again, we got a lot of funding needs. Every town hall, you've probably heard me say it. We don't have enough money to do everything we need to do. So we try to address the priorities. And again, those priorities change every day. And again, you guys are not shy to let us know what issues you have in your area. And again, all the time it's coming in and we're like, yeah, that's going to be part of this project. That's part of that project. Again, it might be a priority 3 this year, bumps to priority 1 next year. It just varies on all the issues that we deal with. Along with the CDBGR funds that we're going to be able to address a lot of things with. But even in that situation, we're working with HMGP funding to help get some matches. And so we're doing all we want to do is what's best for Terrebonne Parish and that we're all on the same page, that we all agree with those priorities. So. All right.
You
That's
finished?
it.
I want to say this. I think I look at Terrebonne Parish as a whole and a lot of these projects, and since I first became a councilman, and then have to gain knowledge and gain a lot of knowledge tonight and having some understanding. And from my point, there's a lot of people up here that want projects in their districts, but I have Terrebonne Parish as a whole in mind. I represent rural, suburban, and inner city. And I know that the people on the coastline have been getting a lot of projects and a lot of money. That's actually numbers that people hear that's going to that area. What we're looking at in the inner city is sewage, not just, I think Kevin has a portion of the area around the old Homer Elementary School. Our subsurface conditions that we have here are one of the things that I have to focus on because I actually drive around in the inner city. And then we have sewer problems in our rural areas. So that would be me saying right now, that would be my focus point for the parish as a whole, a better quality of life in reference to the standards of living. And the roads that we have on. I know we have some other things that we have that are on these in this list that hopefully we can do with our representatives in Baton Rouge. Hopefully we can get that sewage in these roads. And finally, economic development, because we can actually keep the people here, but how they earn a living and things like that. So economic development is one of the things that I actually I'm concerned about, and how does this plan help us economically?
And I'll add a couple of things too. You look at South Central Planning just released that sewage project they're working on to help with low to moderate income. I could be wrong on this number, but I'm gonna say it pretty much being sure. They average across the state between water and sewage projects, you're looking at about $40 billion worth of work that needs to get done. And that's why you look at the fact we have these water sector that was 70 million last year. That's why they're making such a priority to get that done.
That was with a B, right? 40
B,
billion.
yes, $40 billion.
Mr. Amadis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm glad Rep. Domang is here. She can back me up on this because I know, speaking with my wife and speaking with other members of the House, we do pretty good down here. Our delegation works really well to get us a lot of money. Now, we talk about, the projects on the coast getting a lot of money, but that's because there's a lot of money available. So you've got Go Mesa that's pumping money into CPRA and other things like that. I think sometimes looking at some other people, they might get $2 million in capital outlay, where we're getting a big chunk. So I just want to thank our delegation for working hard to get us all the stuff that they have gotten us. So thanks, Jessica.
Right, absolutely. And I want to kind of piggyback on that because I thought about talking about this as well. 64 parishes. Some of these parishes are so small, they don't even have paved roads. I mean, you're talking about little villages kind of in the middle of Louisiana, a culture that we just don't really identify with. We have a great culture here. I mean, obviously, we think that Terrebonne Parish is the best parish, and we deserve all the funding. But we have so much to offer with our port, with LumCon. So there's so many things for us to be able to invest in, and that's what we do is we kind of sell our regions and sell our areas, so when we are asking for the funding, they easily give it to us. And so once again, just kind of looking at the priorities and kind of seeing where we want to be. But you're correct, some of these little villages and stuff, $50,000 is like $50 million to them because they don't really have any economy. They don't really have a lot of money, but they also don't have the needs that we have as far as infrastructure because they don't have the people there either. Not speaking down on them, they're great places, great areas, but it's just different as far as us being on the coast, and so we have to really kind of highlight that.
And I'll add to Jessica's point, what Brian had talked about. I think if you go back and look, some of those places that have trucks and have these smaller projects, that's the thing they're buying with their capital outlay funding. So
Anyone else? You finished, sir?
I'm good. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
One last thing I just want to add, we talk about our, here locally, our state delegation, or here local for our state delegation who provides that help support, what we need here. But I think if we really look at it, Terrebonne Parish as a whole, I don't think Terrebonne Parish has been in the position that it's in right now ever. Because what I mean by that is on the state level, all the way to Washington, D.C., it's probably a few phone calls and we can get there, right? But most importantly, look at some of the things that are being done. You have the Bollinger or this big contract and things like that. So we need to make sure that we're maximizing the opportunity that we have. We have the speaker, he's from Louisiana. We have all the right people in place. So we just have to recognize that and make sure that we capitalize on it for Terrebonne Parish and its people. Thanks.
Well, and I'll say this and then I'll leave because I could talk to you guys all night long. Unfortunately, when the maps changed in 2024, and the congressional maps were changed, Terrebonne and Lafourche were removed from congressional districts. We were always in the same congressional district, and then they split us. Now, I can attest that your entire delegation, as far as your Senate and your representatives, we all voted against those maps because we knew that we could not remove Terrebonne and Lafourche from each other. Like we're brother, sister, parishes. So there is going to be a push to put us back in the same region. Kind of look out for that in the next year or so whenever we may have to redraw some maps. But we're going to fight like hell to get us back in the same district together because we know regionally it serves us better to have one representative go to Washington then 2 or 3 go to Washington who may not necessarily have our best interest because they are so spread out. So just know that we are going to fight for that moving forward in 2026. But it was a pleasure to spend this night with you guys. I miss you guys, but y'all know, y'all call me all the time. So, I mean, I'm not that far away, and it is an absolute honor to serve you guys in Baton Rouge. It's been a real joy. I look forward to hopefully a long tenure up there. There's lots of work to do. And once again, thank you so much for allowing me to come to your council meeting tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Chair entertain a motion to go back to regular order. Motion by, no, it's, from looking there, it's gonna go back to regular order. Motion by, Mr. Amady, second by, Ms. Chauvin, that we go back in regular order. Members, vote your machine.
What if I don't?
Okay, 9-0. Item 2, public wishing to address the council in accordance with section 2-07E Terrebonne Parish Home Rule Charter. The public will be heard and can speak for 3 minutes on any matter relative to parish government without discussion and questions, answers, and non-agenda items. I have no speaker cards, no one here to speak. 6:30 public hearings. A, an ordinance to authorizing parish president or his designee to execute on the behalf of Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government as interveners and assignments of a non-warranty act of donation from independence to South Central Regional Affordable Community Housing Authority and the other matters and for other matters that related to thereof. First call public, second call public, third and final call public. Motion closed, Mr. Amady, second by Ms. Chauvin. Any discussion, member vote your machine. Motion passed, 8-0. Motion to adopt, Mr. Amady, second by Ms. Chauvin. Any discussion, members vote your machine. Motion passed, 8-0. B, an ordinance to amend the 2025 adopted operating budget of Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following items. Terrebonne Council on Aging, $61,000. Consider for adoption tonight. First call public, second call public, third and final call public. Motion to close, Mr. Babin, second by Ms. Chauvin. Any discussion, members vote your machine. Motion passed, 9-0. Motion to adopt, Mr. Champagne. Second, Ms. Chauvin. Any discussion? Members, vote your machine. Motion passed, 8-0. An ordinance to amend the 2025 operating budget of Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following item. Section 8 voucher program, $22,043. First call public, second call public, third final call public. Motion closed, Mr. Babin. Second by Ms. Chauvin. Any discussion? Members, vote your machine. Motion passed, 9-0. Motion to adopt, Mr. Babin. Second, Ms. Chauvin. Any discussion? Members, vote your machine. Motion passed, 8-0. D, an ordinance, you get it, Ms. You got it? Okay. An ordinance to amend the 2025 operating, 25 operating budget of Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following item. Keeping Louisiana Beautiful, $6,438. First call public, second call public, third and final call public. Motion closed, Mr. Amady, second by Ms. Chauvin. Any discussion, members, vote your machine. Motion passed, 9-0. Motion to adopt, Mr. Amity, second by, Ms. Chauvin. Any discussion, members, vote your machine. Motion passed, 8-0. E, ordinance to amend the 2025 adopted operation budget and the 2025 five-year capital outlay budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following item. Schriever overpass, $263,960. First call public, second call public, third final call public. Motion closed, Mr. Amity, second by, Ms. Chauvin. Any discussion, member vote your machine. Motion passed, 8-0. Motion adopt, Mr. Amity, second by, Ms. Chauvin. Any discussion, member vote your machine. Motion passed, 9-0. F, an ordinance to amend the 2025 adopted operating budget and the 2025 five-year capital outlay budget for the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following item. Bayou Terrebonne Pump Station, $10,000. First call public, second call public, third final call public. Motion to close, Mr. Trustclair, second by, Ms. Chauvin. In the discussion, members vote your machine. Motion passed, 9-0. Motion to adopt, Mr. Trustclair, second by Ms. Chauvin. In the discussion, members vote your machine. Motion passed, 9-0. G, ordinance to amend the 2025 adopted operating budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following item. Humboldt Police Department, $1,160. First call public, second call public, third final call public. Motion closed, Ms. Chauvin. Second, Mr. Amity. In the discussion, members vote your machine. Motion passed, 9-0. Motion adopt, Ms. Chauvin, second by Mr. Amity. In the discussion, members vote your machine. Sound like a auctioneer. So, motion passed, 9-0. H, an ordinance to amend the 2025 adopted operating budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following item. Emergency preparedness, $10,435. First call public, second call public, third final call public. Motion to close, Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Amity. In the discussion, member vote your machine. Motion passed, 8-0. Motion adopt, Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Amity. In the discussion, members vote your machine. Motion passed, 9-0. Aye. An ordinance to amend the 2025 adopted operating budget for the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following items. Dedicated emergency fund, $21,414,424. Dedicated emergency fund, $1,877,007. Dedicated emergency fund, $165,902. First call public, second call public, third final call public. Motion to close by Ms. Chauvin, second by Mr. Babin. In the discussion, members vote your machine. Motion passed, 9-0. Motion to adopt, Ms. Chauvin, second by Mr. Babin. In the discussion, members vote your machine. Motion passed, 9-0. J, the proposed 2026 parish budget and five-year capital outlay budget. Motion to continue, first call public, second call public, third final call public. Motion to close by Mr. Trustclair, second by Ms. Chauvin. Motion to continue by Mr. Trustclair, second by Ms. Chauvin. Any discussion, members, vote your machine. 9-0. Committee reports. Community Development and Planning Committee, Ms. Chauvin.
I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Community Development and Planning Committee held on October 27, 2025, and I have one public hearing. Resolution giving notice of intent to adopt an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the parish of Terrebonne so as to rezone from R1, single-family residential, to R2, two-family residential, Lot 14, Block 2, Barreltown subdivision, 2620 Isaac Street, Houma, Louisiana, Ironman Properties of America, LLC, applicant, and calling a public hearing on said matter for Wednesday, December 10th at 6:30 PM.
Motion by Ms. Chauvin, second by Mr. Hammond to accept the Community Development and Planning Committee report. Any discussion, members, vote your machine. Motion passed 8-0. Mr. Pleasure, Budget and Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let's get us out of here. I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Budget and Finance Committee held on October 27th, 2025, and I have 11 public hearings. Number one, consider the introduction of an ordinance to amend the 2025 adopted operating budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following item. Item number one, juvenile detention, $139,409, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, November 19th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Item number two, consider the introduction of an ordinance to amend the 2025 adopted operating budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following item. Item number one, Bayou Country Sports Park, $175,000, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, November 19th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Item number three, consider the introduction of an ordinance to amend the 2025 adopted operating budget and five-year capital outlay budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following item. Item number one, sewerage fund, $31,275, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, November 19th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Item number four, consider the introduction of an ordinance to amend the 2025 adopted operating budget and 2025 five-year capital outlay budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following item. Item number one, general fund, minus $65,000, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, November 19th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Item number five, consider the introduction of an ordinance to amend the 2025 adopted operating budget and 2025 five-year capital outlay budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following item. Item number one, capital projects, Projects Control, $55,000, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, November 19th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Item number six, consider the introduction of an ordinance to amend the 2025 adopted operating budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following item. Item number one, LIHEAP, $42,276, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, November 19th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Item number seven, consider the introduction of an ordinance to amend the 2025 adopted operating budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following item. Item number one, Bayou Country Sports Park, $31,065, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, November 19th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Item number eight, consider the introduction of an ordinance to amend the 2025 adopted operating budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following item. Item number one, LCLE, $24,300, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, November 19th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Item number nine, consider the introduction of an ordinance to amend the 2025 adopted operating budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following item. Item number one, LCLE, $90,000, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, November 19th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Item number 10, consider the introduction of an ordinance to amend the 2025 adopted operating budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following item. Item number one, LCLE, $78,500, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, November 19th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Item number 11, consider the introduction of an ordinance to amend Chapter 30, Elections District and Precinct Sections 30-2 of the Terrebonne Parish Code of Ordinances to merge certain voting precincts and to establish certain boundaries for merged precincts, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, November 19th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Thank you. I just want to know how long you took.
Motion by Mr. Pleasure, second by Mr. Hamner, to accept the report of the Budget and Finance Committee from 10/27/25. And the discussion, members, vote your machine. Oh, you had a light? Mr. Hamner?
I just want to know if he could repeat that for me, please.
Hold on. Hold on.
Members vote your machine. Motion passed 9-0. Street lights, as per by Ms. Chauvin, second by Mr. Champagne. Passed. Let me vote your machine. 9-0. 5, appointments of various boards and committees and commissions. Airport Commission, one expiring term on 11/28/25. Mr. Edward Marmord expresses his interest in being reappointed.
Open, close, and reappoint.
Open,
Mr. Mormon.
open and close and reappoint Mr. Edward Marmord by Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Amady. Members vote your machine. 9-0. Planning Commission, one expiring term on 11/30/2025. Mr. 11/30/25. Mr. Jan Rogers expresses his interest in being reappointed. Motion by Mr. Trustclair and second by Mr. Hamner to open and close and appoint Mr. Rogers. Any discussion? Members, watch your machine. Motion passed 9-0. C, Humboldt Board of Adjustments, one expiring term. Mr. Joe Harris Jr. expresses his interest in being reappointed.
Open, close, and reappoint Mr. Harris.
Open and close and appoint by Mr. Pleasure, second by Ms. Chauvin. Any discussion? Members, watch your machine. Motion passed 9-0. Recreation District 5, number 5 Board, two expiring terms on 11/27/25. Mr. James Kevin Franks expresses his interest in being reappointed. Motion by Mr. Trustclair to open, close, and appoint Mr. James Kevin Frank to the District 5 Board and hold the other appointment. Any discussion, members? Second by Mr. Pleasure. Members, vote your machine. Motion passed 9-0. Downtown Development Corporation, 5 expiring terms on 11/01/25. Each representing the following entities: 2 representing the parish president, 1 representing ENH Keep Terrebonne Beautiful, 1 representing the EDAB Council, and 1 representing the Convention Bureau. 1 expired term representing the Historical Society, 1 vacancy due to resignation representing the Terrebonne Garden Club. James LeComte, representing the parish president, submits application and resume for consideration.
Open, close, appoint Mr. McCoy and hold the other 4 on.
Open, close, and appoint Mr. LeComte by Mr. Babin, second by Mr. Hamner. Any discussion? Hold the others over. Any discussion? Members, vote your machine. Motion passed 9-0. Monthly report, engineering report as per Ms. Chauvin, second by Mr. Babin. Members, vote your machine. Motion passed 9-0. Vacancy and vacancies to various boards, commissions, and committees and commissions. Recreation District 3A Board, 1 vacancy due to resignation. Recreation District number 5 Board, 1 expiring term on 11/27/25. Recreation District number 7 Board, 1 expiring term on 11/27/25. Fire District number 5 Board, 1 expiring term. Coto Fire Protection District Board, 1 expiring term. Bayou Blue Fire Protection District Board, 1 expiring term. Downtown Development Corporation, 4 expiring terms on 11/1/25, each representing the following entities: 1 representing the parish president, 1 representing the ENH Keep Terrebonne Beautiful, 1 representing the EDAB Council, and 1 representing the Convention Bureau. one expired term representing the Historical Society, and one vacancy due to the expired term representing the Garden Club. Veteran Memorial Board, one expiring term representing the parish president south of the Intercoastal, and one vacancy due to the resignation representing the parish president north of the Intercoastal. Coastal Zone Management and Coastal Restoration Advisory Committee, one expiring term on 10/31/25, representing the commercial fishing, children and youth services, one expiring term on 11/8/25, three expiring terms on 11/26/2025, and one expiring term. Three expiring terms on 11/26/25, and one expired term. Municipal Civil Service Board, two expiring terms, and on 11/29/25. Have the announcements, Parish President.
Yeah, so I have my second version of the capital outlay project presentation I'd like to give you guys. Okay, sorry, had to do that. We got a few cool things going on next couple weekends. We have the water safety program, pastalaya and gumbo on the Bayou Cook-Off. All you can eat pastalaya and gumbo, $10. Kids under 5 eat free. Car show, music, vendors, raffles. They also give away life jackets for local children. That's November 1st from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Southdown Marketplace at Southdown Plantation. Admission's $5 per person. Kids in 5 get in for free. Includes arts, crafts, food, drinks, and music. That's November 1st from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We have Market at the Marina, November 1st from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And that's underneath the East Park Avenue Twin Spans. And the Outdoor Farmers Market includes music, food, drink, and health resources. And then the Bayou Soccer Group puts on the Gobbler Cup, and as part of that, Dean Schwess is working on a Bayou Country Food Truck Fest, November 1st at 11 a.m. at Bayou Country Sports Park, and includes food trucks, family fun, and live music. And happy Halloween.
Mr. Pleasure.
Just want to tell Michelle, hey, Michelle, you didn't have to say nothing tonight. Good deal, right?
Mr. Champagne.
Yeah, and I would just want to announce they're having the mac and cheese cook-off November 8th downtown. And that's going to the Gulf Coast Teaching Family Services for a fundraiser.
Okay. Mr. Bedroom, is there a fee for that deal at the Civic Center with the food trucks?
That's at the Bayou Country.
Bayou Country? All right, is there a fee for it?
I don't think so. I think they're just buying it like you can buy the food from the food trucks with having all the people out there.
Yeah, because I know a couple of people have food trucks and might want to let them know that.
Yeah.
That's,
I know he's been advertising it, so what's
yeah,
that?
That's
You
what.
might have to pay for it to be a vendor at this.
Right. But get in
Okay.
touch with Dean, Quality Life Department, either one of those two. But we're definitely looking to make a big good time with a bunch of food trucks.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to cover up for those people. Motion adjourned by Mr. Babin, second by Ms. Chauvin. Members, vote your machine, and y'all enjoy your meal if y'all going to eat. Motion passed.